Doop-doop-a-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Welcome to the Smeggie Cave. How's everyone doing out there? Um, Figured I'd do an afternoon cave, see what's up. I see Raph's out there watching. How's it going, buddy? I really like your question. I'm gonna actually address that on air because there might be some other people that listen to this in the future, and although at the same time, I guess they could see the chat going scrolling by if they're watching it. But whatever. Either way, I want to address it. How's it going, Vanessa? Stalker. I start up in 2 seconds and you show up. That's kind of creepy. Anyways, all you guys are welcome to join me if you want. Just hop over to Gun Channels. There you go. All right, so yeah, Raph, let's get into this here a little bit while some other people file in. Like I said, come check me out over on Gun Channels and get in the conversation. Oh, anyways, what's up, guys? Revolver and whatnot. So, one of the things Raph asked was, does emailing legislators who are not in my own state do anything? I can't vote there, and they know I'm not going to send them money. Now, my response to that was, I think it can help if you mention that you're not going to vacation there because of the gun laws. Because I'm assuming you're asking about gun-related things. I guess even if you're not, you could still be like, I'm not going there because you guys burn coal or whatever. I mean, so whatever thing you want to talk to people about, we are in a society where we travel, and some states rely very heavily on tourism and some don't, but sometimes I think you'd be surprised where states get a lot of their money. Some people would think like Michigan, well, that's not big tourists. Like we don't, you never hear like, oh, I'm going to Detroit for the weekend. Like, hooray. People don't do that like they do of I'm going to Vegas or I'm going to New York or yeah, all right, I'm going to check out San Diego or, whatever. But we have a huge out of state hunting revenue. And that's, to be honest, one of the things we kind of, I don't know if like scalping's the right word or price gouging, but an out-of-state hunting license is more expensive than a resident one. So it's like, oh, you want to come to our state and take a deer and ship it back home to wherever you live? That's fine, you can do it, but you're gonna pay a little bit more. So, anyways, and that's actually would go really well for gun laws if Michigan's doing some type of crazy gun law, and a bunch of out-of-state hunters say, I've been going to your state and hunting on public land for the past, 10 years. And because of these new laws, I won't be able to bring, some of my stuff with me. So I'm going to go to Colorado and go elk hunting instead or whatever, like whatever the thing that you want to say. And I think they would pay attention to that. So anyways, the reason Raph brought that up, let's see. He said, this was back to, do they think to themselves, this guy has the time to write me, if this law does not apply to him, it means something? That could be too, right? I mean, that proves that, they always say, like, sending an email means, like, one thing. Calling means more. Writing a letter means even more. Like, showing up in person means even more. So, yeah, writing someone when you're not even in your state, they're going to say, holy crap, like, the whole country is paying attention to me on this stuff. Like, I better, make sure I do the right thing. Otherwise, I'm going to get voted out. And there are definitely plenty of organizations that are, they come into a state when they need to, but they cover the whole country, like gun rights people and stuff. So that could be another thing too. If you say, oh yeah, and by the way, I'm going to make sure, like, if you pass this law, that your name is on the next, Gun Owners of America newsletter and calling you out and or whatever. And then they can sit there and go, wow, we're going to get attacks from all over the place. like I said, the politician's biggest fear is getting voted out for sure. Um, and so you don't like California laws. You're trying to help gun businesses there. Yeah, I mean, support them. They need help. The chances of me going to California are slim. This is all, like I said, conversation from earlier. Um, and then you're basically reiterating, right? Can I do something about, the Oregon state bill, let's see, 719? Even if I'm not in Oregon, yeah, I mean, I think you can. I mean, you can still contact people. As far as like signing petitions and stuff, I think you have to be like a registered voter in the thing in order for your signature to count. Like if there's something you're trying to like get on the ballot or whatever. If it's a petition that just kind of shows support, I think you're okay. But like I know like in California when the gun apocalypse happened and they were signing a bunch of petitions trying to get those bills repealed like on the main general ballot. And it's I think you had to be in the state to do that. All right, cool, Roosted. You got a nice shout out here. So howdy, how's it going? And for everyone listening, I know I have a huge reach here, but the Pro 2A rally, Minnesota State Capitol, March 31st at 1 p.m. So, and then you guys are talking about Walking Dead or whatever. I haven't seen the couple most recent ones, so no spoilers. I'll be avoiding Matt's chat again tonight because I don't want to have to hear about it. But anyways, yeah, that's awesome. Another Pro 2A rally. I hope a bunch of people get going. Take cameras and all that kind of stuff. I went to the Michigan one, as you guys know, on Saturday. I took a couple pictures for Instagram, and that was about it. I mean, for me personally, I find if I'm trying to like take video of everything, um, it just distracts from the whole experience of being there. Now, other people did a really good job, so I'm grateful for that. But I just find like if I see the whole event through a viewfinder of my phone or whatever, then I'm just well, that's fine. You didn't spoil nothing yet. I'm just letting you know. Don't be like, I can't believe Rick turned into an alien and it fought that dinosaur. Like, just don't say that kind of crap because then that'd be a spoiler. It being bad, I've been hearing episodes were bad for the past 5 years, and sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. So no big deal. All right, Raph got another one. So April 14th at 2 o'clock, and that's in Florida's capital. So cool. I mean, all this kind of stuff, I appreciate you guys mentioning that stuff. Have you added it to the events page on gun channels? Because that's a good way of letting the word get out. I did one for the Michigan one, but I did it like the Friday before, the Thursday before, because I just found out about last minute. But I mean, I guess March 31st, that's what, 5 days? So like this weekend or whatever. So, yeah. So, that gives you some time. The April 14th one, that gives plenty of time. April 14th. So definitely get those on the events now, and then people can RSVP and comment and maybe hook up with each other and share a ride or whatever. And they can use that events page because there is like a discussion tab on there. They can use that events page as like a gathering place to talk about it and see what's going on. So, yeah, again, other people just saying hi. And again, hi, everyone out there. So, head on over to Gun Channels if you want to jump in. Oh, there's Vanessa on Gun Channels. How's it going? Saying hi twice. Tommy Two Tones or whatever. Or what the hell's that called? Something two times. That's what it is. Tommy Two Times. How's it going? How's it going? Hey, what's up? What's up? Is that Goodfellas? Is that what he's from? I don't know, whatever, some mob thing. There you go. All right, keep on fighting the good fight, Vanessa. Yeah, it is good, fellas. All right, whatever. I'm not a movie review site. So, all right, what else you guys want to talk about here? Any other gun related stuff? I was trying to get that guy's wife on the podcast. I don't know if you guys follow her on YouTube. You should. Um, and she did her first live chat earlier today. Went live for I don't know, like 10 minutes or something. And during it, she's like, "Yeah, I'm not quite sure what I'm doing. Oh, what does this button do? Where's the thing?" Like, you know. And so I invited her over to the Smeggie Cave to jump in, and I was gonna screen share and show her how to use Hangouts, and then the audience can learn as well if any of you out there have thought about doing it. So maybe I'll just still do it now, and I can just point her to this and say, "Hey, just jump into the first 10 minutes or whatever." But yeah, so why don't we do that? Why don't we go ahead and screen share and talk through starting up a live hangout and what to do and all that kind of stuff. So let me go ahead and do this here. Boom. All right, you're gonna have to ignore every time I'm on the hangout page. It's gonna be like this mirror effect, and I'll try and show you what all these buttons do and stuff, even though it'll be a little more confusing. So, first thing to do, jump over to YouTube. There she is, right there, saying hi. Oh, it was like 5 minutes. And anyways, you click on your little icon up here. You might not have a snowman. It might look different on your screen, but it's just how it works. You go over to Creator Studio. And you could use the info. You might do a live stream. Good. Okay. So pay attention. Take notes, Roosted. All right. So once you're in Creator Studio, you got, some analytics showing you, okay, your watch time, your views, blah, blah, whatever. You got some of the videos here. You can open that up. There's other stuff. But this is the way I do it. There are actually other ways of doing it, but this is how I like doing it. So you go over here on the side to live stream. Use the little arrow. And you click it because you're not dumb. Come on, click it. Okay. So you can do like the stream now, this camera thing. I haven't used either of these. Like you have to put it in encoder and stuff. I just go to events and I schedule it for like right now. And then there you go. So this is showing that this one right here is live right now, but you can hit new live event. So you hit new live event. I'll show you most of the process. I won't be able to actually go live because I'm already in a live thing, but oh, you have to verify before you can go live. Okay. That's interesting. I guess I've done that a while ago, so I just go live. But anyways, it gives you this little basic thing. And one of the things that some people get tripped up on, I don't know if mine just does this now set as default or if everyone's is like this. I've heard people having problems. Down here at the bottom, the type, you can use quick, which uses Google Hangouts, or if you do custom, you have more encoding options, but then you have to like put in a separate encoder thing and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know how to do that. What's the topic? Right now I'm teaching how to start up a live hangout. And then we'll talk about guns or whatever. So I ask questions and I'll get to it. So then you just type in blah, blah, blah. Oh, look, Smeggies Cave. Yay. And then you say the best show ever because snowmen are the coolest. Teh. Snowmen are coolest. Duh. Anyways, you can change the time. You can be like, I'm going live on the 31st. And what time was that rally? 2 o'clock? I'm gonna go live at 2 o'clock. And then in the description you can be like, Minnesota 2A rally. Best ever. Also Florida. April 14th. You can add tags like, I don't know, blah, blah, comma. Smeggie is the best, comma, I love Smeggie, comma. Like tags can be multiple words, and then you just put a comma and it does the thing. So you can be like blah 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 blah, comma. And that just helps with search engine stuff. I don't use it a lot, but AR versus AK, yeah, okay. Let's open that can of worms. You can make it public, you can have it share on your other stuff, whatever. Anyway, so you get it all set up. There's some advanced settings or whatever. And then you hit create event. Schedule time should be in the future. Oh, because it changed it back to today. What the heck? Okay. Create event. And then, bam, now it's created. Huh. I can get rid of it, I guess, in a minute. But anyways, then you would just hit start Hangout on air. Sometimes, I think maybe it's because I'm already in one, but normally it'll pop up a little box that says, do you want to start now? So you hit start Hangouts on air and it starts up. But like I said, it's not going to let me do it because I'm already in a Google Hangout. So there you go. I'm going to go ahead and delete this one because I don't want it like being around for a while. There you go. So I deleted it. All right. One of the other things that I know that guy's wife was asking about was how do you change a thumbnail, or like how long until you can change a thumbnail? I thought you could do it like whenever. But anyways, for that, you go over to Video Manager and it'll have all of your past videos. And then you can, let's see, I'm just seeing if it's in the drop down, but you can just hit edit. All right, so it takes you over to the edit screen and you can edit the description. You can change all sorts of stuff, you know, add tags, do whatever, add it to a playlist. But right here, custom thumbnail. So you can click custom thumbnail and then you can find pictures. Or I guess it gives you a couple of options. This is maybe like beginning, middle, and end. Something like that. Because I've seen stuff where it takes it from like however long the video is, it takes whatever is showing the screen like exactly in the middle. That's like the default. And that's just kind of what I leave it as. So, but you can customize it like if you have a logo or something, or you can go through the video and be like, oh, this is a cool part of the video. Like I'll use that. I'm not sure if you can do other, like, what if I wanted to be like 30 seconds in? I don't know if there's a way to do that. I don't know, advanced settings or something. I'm not the best with it. I just know how to do some of the other basic things. So anyways, I'm not going to save changes. I don't even know if I changed anything. Yeah, I'll leave. All right. So that's how you start it up. And then you're good to go. So now let's go through the maze and figure out how to use the actual Google Hangouts. Like I said, this is going to be a little confusing, but anyway, so this is kind of what it looks like when you have the Hangout thing. So down at the bottom, oh, it's showing that I'm screen sharing. All right, I'll look at the gun channels in a minute here. Where this says stop broadcast, before you go live, it will say start broadcast. Makes sense. Click the button. A little thing pops up, says like, are you sure you want to go live? You say yeah, and then it goes live. So that would be how you start it. And then once you're in here, let's see some of the basic stuff up front here. If you hit the little leave call, then that drops you out. You know, there's a setting gear thing. You can change like which microphone you're using and stuff like that. I don't really mess with that stuff. My headset just kind of works when I plug it in. The biggest thing that you'll end up using when you're in a Hangout is muting yourself, because sometimes you got background noise or whatever. Other people are talking. You don't want to be rude. So for that, you click the little microphone here. And then you're muted. So you guys totally missed like all the stuff I was saying. So yeah, like AR versus AK. I have the definitive answer. And the answer is, and that's why I think that's better than the other one. So that mutes it. Another thing, I don't really feel like doing it, but you can turn the camera on, and that would show you. And I put my thumb over the camera because you guys don't want to see me. But you can use that to turn the camera on and off, and that's what will show up, down here. Oh, and the other thing, it's kind of a neat trick some people aren't aware of. When you hit spacebar, it does whatever the last action you did on Hangouts is. So what I like to do when I first jump in is I'll mute myself and unmute myself real quick by clicking on it. So I just come in and then do that. Now, every time I hit spacebar, it mutes myself. And then I can hit spacebar again and unmute myself. So that way, if I'm sitting here on the couch, I got my computer kind of far away, I can lean back, relax, have fun, and then I don't have to like lean forward and move my mouse around and try and click on the right thing. Okay, let's see. There's plenty of stuff over here on the side. There's a side chat. You click this box, and it opens up this little side piece. Ignore this chat. That's the YouTube chat. And then you can type in here, and only people that are in the chat at the time will see it. Like the little thing will actually pop up at the bottom here a little bit, and then it will be over here. Now, if I type something in here and go blah, 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 now if somebody joins, they're not even going to see the blah, 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 blah. Like they only see the stuff as soon as they join. And I personally like to keep it minimized just in case I am screen sharing and there was other people in here and they're saying, hey, just want to verify your address is blah, 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 right? I don't want that getting out on air. Okay, so another couple things. Down here on the bottom, there's a thing that says links. This is the link to the YouTube video and the embed code. So you can use that to like embed onto another website or whatever. That's how I embed over onto gun channels. Use that link. Now for people to join, you can either copy this link here and just send it to people, or if you click this little invite people button, you can either search them out like by email address or like their Gmail or whatever, or you can copy this link up here. And it's a little bit shorter than copying this one up here. And I found that when you use this invite person link, it tends to work better. Some people have problems with using like the browser link. Anyway, let's see, what else do we have? There's some other stuff. Control room. I think that's just when you start. If there's more people here, you can control people's volume and like mute them and stuff, but that's only if you're the one. Oops, I don't know what cameraman is. The heck is this? Right, get rid of the control room. Okay. And then toolbox. There's an error. Yeah, because I don't know what the heck you're talking about. All right, whatever. I don't know why that's not opening. But in that one, you can also like, and that's anyone in the chat can use the toolbox, and they can like adjust, like they can mute people. They can put down like the little lower, just the lower third, like the little logo or whatever. So yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and stop screen sharing here so I can check out what's going on over on gun channels and stuff. I don't know. I don't know what people are saying. Oh, asking for a link. Yeah, sure. I will give you a link here. Just a second. So we'll see Ben coming in. He might have some technical difficulties, but we'll see what happens. All right. So let's go back to the other chat here. All right. So let's see. Let me go back up. Blah blah blah. Goodfellas. Da, da, da. Okay. Ref went live for the minute. Blah blah blah. Okay. Can you teach me how to start live streaming and how to do pre-stream chats? Well, the pre-stream would just be don't hit the start broadcast button, because you can do a hangout and then if you don't hit start broadcast, everyone's in the same chat room just like this, but it just doesn't go live. All right, let me get rid of that. So yeah, we'll talk about stuff like before the show or whatever, like off air, and then as soon as you hit the button, it goes live. All right, AR versus AK. Yeah, we'll get into that in a minute. Like I said, because it's clear. Well, actually, I already went into AR versus AK. It was when I was playing around with mute, so you guys missed. You missed the answers. I don't know. People talking about beat me in a snowman. Yeah, whatever. All right, you're gonna watch it tomorrow. That's fine. Yeah, just jump ahead to whatever part of the show I was at. So there you go. All right, I'm all caught up on the chats here. Thanks. I'm glad you guys think that you say you learn a bunch of stuff and all that. That's cool. Um, Ben, I resent you I sent you a message there with the link, so you just click that and it should pop up. Google Hangouts. So hopefully he'll be joining us in a minute here. Yeah, so that's just the kind of the quick tutorial. That's about as much as I know. I mean, maybe there's more, and I can't think of it. But that that gets you into the Hangout if you want to start one up. That shows you how to invite people, and then you just go from there. Then it's just a matter of knowing what to talk about and being entertaining and whatnot. Which I'm still learning that part of it. Do you know any Finnish rock bands? I don't know. Probably not off the top of my head. I'm trying to remember. Shoot, there was a band. Oh my God, what was their name? I don't know if they're Finnish, but they're definitely from that area. I'm gonna call it like the Viking area. Because you guys are all together. You're all the same in my book. Um oh my God, what the heck was their name? Oh, I don't remember. They were pretty good though. But yeah, actually now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think they were from Finland. Were they from Sweden maybe? You guys probably hate each other or something. Like, how dare you confuse us? It's like, yeah, you guys are all the same. Bunch of weird Vikings. Crap, what the hell was their name? I don't know. All I know is they were at a music festival and it was like freezing rain all day. And it was one of the ones where like you could have seats and like underneath a roof. And then you also had like just lawn seats, which were like $10 or whatever. And anyways, they were sitting there going like, dude, you guys out on the lawn are freaking hardcore. Like, we're we're up here freezing our ass off, and we're from Norway or Sweden or Finland or whatever. Like I said, you guys are all the same. Oh man. But anyways, that was kind of cool. It was like, yeah, people from Detroit are awesome because we'll sit out in the freezing rain to listen to heavy metal. I wonder if I could look that up. I wonder what year it was. I know what festival it was. It was during Gigantour, which was well, the first year was Megadeth and Dream Theater were co-headliners, and I forget. I don't think this was the first year. No, it wasn't. But it was. So the year I'm talking about, it was just Megadeth. Yeah, Finnish, Sweden, U.S., Canada. We're easy to tell the difference though. Let's see. Oh yeah, that was the first man. Megadeth, Dream Theater, Fear Factory, Nevermore, Life of Agony, Symphony X, Dry Kill Logic, and Boba Flex. Oh my God. Whoa, when is this? When I don't remember that year. Megadeth, Motorhead, Volbeat, Lacuna Coil. Damn. That'd have been a good year. Do do do. Uh, was that it? Children of Bodom? Megadeth, In Flames, Children of Bodom. Some other thing I can't read. That might be who I was thinking of. So I don't know where they're from. All right, what's going on, Ben? Why aren't you in here yet? I don't know why we're talking about music, but oops, that's not what I meant to do. I just want a list of like each year who the people were. I guess I just have to keep hitting these. Oh yeah, it was this year. So Megadeth, In Flames, Children of Bodom, Job for a Cowboy, and High on Fire. I think it's the Children of Bodom I was thinking of. Technical difficulties, huh? All right. Well, someone's jumped in. How's it going? Ooh, 2013 would have been a good one. Megadeth, Black Label Society, Device, hell yeah. Oh man, that'd be a good show. So that the last year was 2013. And we did 5 of them. Oh, you say the him. Is that like him? Or is it different for the him? Because I know of like him. I don't know those other people. Nightwish. How do you say that? Hano Rocks and Von Herzig brothers. I don't know those people. I'm guessing you're Finnish. So, anyways, all right. Well, we got somebody in here. Maybe they don't want to talk about foreign heavy metal. So, what's going on? You you have to unmute yourself to talk. You got to hit the little button up at the top. Is is this you, Ben? Because the name at the bottom doesn't match. Which is fine. I guess that was something I should have mentioned before earlier as well. In order to use Google Hangouts, you have to have a Google Plus account, which is dumb. I don't use Google Plus other than I made it and called myself Smeggie on there. I mean, a lot of people will use their name and stuff. Then when they're in the Hangout and it's like, oh, like it shows up at the bottom like with the little icon, and it'll say like John Smith, and it's like, oh crap, I didn't people want to know that. So, like, use your code name for like your actual name. I guess unless you use Google Plus with your friends, in which case then I think there's a way to change what your display name is versus like your registered name or something. I don't know. I think I just put in their first name Smeggy, last name 42. You know what I mean? Like I just, oh, you want my real name? Okay, my real name's Smeggy because that's how it works. Um, but anyway, do, do, do. Oh, that's an interesting question to get into. I noticed here on the main page of Gun Channel, someone's asking they're looking for self-defense insurance. Any suggestions? That's something I haven't talked about in a while. So, do any of you guys out there know of different self-defense insurance? I've done some research and I've probably forgotten half of it, but the and there's a few there's different types. There's stuff that covers different things, and you kind of have to decide, what you want. Okay, so at least you figured out how to type in the internal, so you're having some computer problems. Um, well, did you even try your mic though? Because you didn't even unmute yourself in the Hangout. And that's up at the top next to there's a little microphone, and then there's a little video thing. So you might want to try that. And hey, Al, how's it going?
Hey, Smeggie, what's up?
Same old, same old. I was just doing a little tutorial on how to use Google Hangouts and whatnot. And then I started getting into while he figures out how to get his microphone working and stuff. I started getting into carry insurance, and I just barely started that. So, do you have any? Have you done any research on like carry insurance, or do you have any information about that?
Well, I've looked at a couple. I don't have any myself.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean I get it. Everyone has their own, their own thing. One of the things is like state level stuff. Sometimes, saying, they have different policies and stuff. I know I was looking at one, and like its biggest advantage was, like a defense fund for civil stuff. Like that was there. Like we provide the most like coverage for civil and blah blah blah. Well, in Michigan, because of our like castle doctrine / stand your ground type laws. I mean, those are like categories of laws, but they're all kind of different. The Michigan one, if you're involved in a self defense shooting and you are found from like the criminal point of view to be not guilty, and that even includes like they don't even prosecute you because there wasn't enough evidence to begin with or whatever, or it's a clear, it's okay, it's self-defense, like whatever. So it's not even you have to be like found not guilty, it's that you're not found guilty. It's kind of a different way of saying it, but if that's the case, then they can't file a civil suit against you. So any of the other type of stuff, because some states they talk about, oh, legally speaking, you're okay, but then like the family sues you, or if you end up like, whoever you defended yourself against, maybe they just got injured, and then they sue you for being injured, and it's like in Michigan they say no, 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 they didn't break the law defending themselves. You can't sue them for doing something that's legal. You probably shouldn't have broke into their house and tried to kill them or whatever. So anyway, so from that point of view, that's not as much of a. I mean, it's kind of neat, I guess, that it's in there, but at least the way the laws stand now, that there's no advantage to me of offering, $1 million of civil defense versus 2 million versus $1,000. I won't need any of it. So, that part's
Yeah,
kind of
we've got
nice.
stand your ground in Texas, but I need to. You got me thinking now. I need to dig in there and see what they say about civil.
Yeah, I know there's a handful of states that if like I said, it's kind of a weird way of saying it because it's not that like you're found not guilty, because that would imply you went through a trial and then found not guilty. if you're, again, like not found guilty. So that could be because they didn't even press charges against you, or you did go through trial, it got thrown out, or you went through the first part and then they decided to drop them or whatever. Any of those things, that they can't file a civil suit because you were basically found not responsible. Like it was a legal action to defend yourself. So, but yeah, definitely, I encourage anyone to look up their own state stuff and keep an eye on it, because it does. That's the kind of stuff that changes. That it doesn't make the mainstream news, and sometimes it doesn't even make the the gun channels site, or the whatever, the Every Second Matters or NRA ILA or any of that stuff. Like, you might just not even hear about it. It just changes. So, anyways, but I did want to dig into a little bit to the insurance thing. So one of the ones I feel is some of the better stuff is second call defense. I've seen the people, they did some interviews on We Like Shooting. I believe at least they used to be a sponsor of We Like Shooting. I don't know if they still are. So take that kind of stuff with a grain of salt. Obviously, you have one of your sponsors on your show, whatever. But I think they asked them legitimate questions, and I liked the answer. It seemed like a good guy who was representing the company, and the stuff they do. They have what do they have? Like they have a certain amount, and there's different levels as well. I think that was one of the ones where you go to like the platinum level and it gives you more civil stuff. And it's like, well, I'm not going to pay more per month for something that I don't need more of. But they have like instant, like paying bail. Like if something does, if you end up do get arrested and stuff, they'll front your bail. And so you can get out like, that night or the next morning or whatever, instead of sitting in jail for 2 weeks or whatever, if you don't have money. Then they have obviously money towards your legal case, and that's where the higher premiums will give you more. Let's see what else they have. I know they have some stuff for like after the shooting. They have like some cleanup type stuff, like if something happens in your house, because that could be, it could be traumatic if something does happen and then you're stuck, ripping out the carpet or cleaning the walls or whatever. Like that might, this way they will pay for someone else to do it. Like a restoration type company, the ones that go in after floods and fires and stuff, like that type of thing. Get everything cleaned up and all that. And they also have like some mental help if you want any type of like trauma counseling or something. And they'll provide, the plan provides for paying for, a couple sessions or 10 sessions or, whatever. I think those ones change as well as you go up. So sorry, I don't have all the super details. Oh, you're still having technical difficulties? Okay. Like I said, you never even tried unmuting, so you might not have as many technical difficulties as you think. But whatever.
Well, I was just looking here real quick. We're immune from civil liability for personal injury or death. However, anybody can sue anybody for anything.
Right, and that's I think maybe that's where having at least
somebody's got to go to court and file papers, respond to the lawsuit, and it was justified, it was not justified. Well, if it was justified, then let's prove it was justified, and yada yada yada. So
right. Well, I'm saying that's where I think that having like at least like a little bit of civil is worth it, because you're going to have a lawyer to at least file that like motion to throw out.
They're not getting any money from you, but you're going to spend some money not getting that money. You're not paying that money,
Right. And again, so having, yeah, I guess having some civil might be useful because that's like they do that to gun manufacturers. You know, there's already a law on the books that says like a company can't be charged with misuse of a product. Now, if the product is faulty and someone gets injured because it was not safe or whatever, they can get sued all day long. And I'm for that. Like, okay, great. You know, just like if my car catches fire spontaneously because they messed up, like I'm gonna want to sue Ford. Like, what the heck? They injured me because they, messed up on something. But if someone steals my car and then runs me over with it, it's not Ford's fault. It's the person's fault. But they still filed cases against gun companies, and those gun companies have to pay lawyers to at least get in front of the judge and show them the law and saying, this is exactly what the law was written for, throw this case out. And then the judge says, okay, yeah, it's thrown out. But that it takes time and money. So I mean, I guess from that point of view, I'm happy that second call defense has some type of civil thing. But again, I'm not going to pay for the premium one that basically the only difference between the platinum and the gold level or whatever is that there's more civil money in there. Because I don't need $1 million to file a motion to throw out.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think what else there. I know there's NRA has a thing. I don't know the details of theirs. I mean, I know as an NRA member, you have like insurance on your guns as far as like stolen and damage, and that's up to a certain level. And they just throw that in, and then they encourage you to like buy the more expensive one or whatever. But a lot of people's homeowners insurance will cover that kind of stuff too. You just have to make sure like the value is okay. Because, a lot of people it like caps at a certain value. And then if your guns are worth a whole bunch and they get stolen or damaged or whatever, they're like, okay, well, here's $1,000. You're like, oh, great. I can replace 2 of these, like, uh-oh. So you might have to have an extra thing there. But the carry guard, I think, is their like carry insurance. And I don't know what that covers. I've never even looked into it. I actually kind of got mad at NRA Carry Guard because the year that came out, they kicked out all the other insurance companies from the NRA show. And it's like, really? You can't even go head to head with your competition? Like, you don't want to allow people to hear the other side? I just thought that was kind of a dirty move. I get it. It's your show. You can have whoever in there you want. But that's just kind of I didn't like it. It was kind of underhanded.
Well, I tried the NRA like year before last or something like that. They were calling me, and this is after I sent them their money. They were calling once, twice a week asking for money.
I've never had the NRA call me. I get letters every once in a while, but I've never had them call me.
I got letters asking for more money a couple of times a month, and never got any magazines, and so I'm just like, eh.
Oh. Yeah. So, anyways, that's going back to the carry insurance type stuff. I'm not familiar with Carry Guard. I never even looked into it. It might be the best one ever. Yeah, I could be wrong. I have no idea. I just thought that was kind of cheesy the way they did the business practice. Let's see what else is there. There's the Armed Citizen Defense League, which is a little bit different, I believe. That's more of like you belong to that, and it's more of like you're in like a network of people that help out in the case of self-defense. They do give you some like learning material and stuff, and I don't know, other things, but I think the biggest advantage of that one is they provide you with basically contacts to a lot of legal experts. Now, you're your defense lawyer or whatever would still have to like pay the experts or, pay the expenses to fly them out or whatever, but it at least gives you access to them. And there might be something that where they have like a list of lawyers that are like specialize in self-defense. Because that's the thing. You don't want some dude that's like, oh, I'm good at fighting traffic tickets. Okay, will you defend my life? Like, will you decide if I go to jail or not? You kind of want someone who's very well versed in self-defense law and is used to the kind of tricks that prosecutors may pull on you. But I may be speaking out of turn on that, but I thought I remember they have some type of, like I said, it's again, that one is more just like a network of people that are familiar with the topic and willing to help out. I don't see your new message, Ben. You said you sent me another one. I'm not seeing it. I just refreshed. I just see the one you sent earlier and then the link I sent you. Let me see. Maybe you sent me like there's two different types of messages on gun channels. Maybe you sent me like a personal message or something instead of using the chat box. Yeah, you did. Okay. So you went to my profile and sent a message. All right. I'll send it through here, but I mean, you can get the out there listening. You can still get to that same link I sent you a minute ago on the phone. What you do when you're on the phone, I think you have to be in like full sight mode, but then there's a thing on the bottom that says chat, and you pull that up and it opens up in a new tab.
All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, now you're in here.
Hey.
There we go. After 20 minutes of fiddling with my computer and having technical difficulties, back on my phone.
Oh. So what was going on with the computer? Like I said, you never even unmuted the Hangout, so how do you know that your mic wasn't working?
Oh, let me just show you the type of computer that I have. I'm walking over here. All right. So I have this computer.
Oh, okay.
But when Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. But when I plug in my mic right here, and then I go to, I probably should have had, Google Hangouts up, but actually.
Yeah.
Hopefully it. Okay, see right. Oh God. Oh shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say turn down the computer speaker.
Ben, are you using a different account for that?
Yeah. He is. Of course, now he's muted on his phone too, so.
Yeah, so that's the problem that I was having.
Oh, so when you go to unmute it, it asks you about your mic and stuff. I only kind of saw it, but yeah, it looked like it was trying to set something up or whatever.
Yeah, I was basically showing, and I'm terrible with computer stuff, so Yeah, that didn't help.
Yeah, see, because when I'm like on the computer, I go to the little settings gear. You know, you can pick your microphone. Like on mine, I can either go default, mic at the front panel, or like built-in microphone. And mine's on default, and it seems to work fine. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
guess
sure.
for whatever, and that happens with headphones too. So, you know, I can't, when I'm on the computer, I have to, you know, torture my entire house with my Rush and Guns N' Roses music just to get work done on there. So headphones and microphones don't work for whatever reason. It worked for the first month, and then after that, it just crapped out. And I have no idea why.
Oh, okay, yeah, that sounds almost more like your computer's having, I don't know, like issues with your headset. Like you don't have the right oh my god, what do they call them?
Is that
The
a
right
USB
drivers.
The
headset?
jack.
Well, I'm saying it might be a software issue.
thinking
You
it's-
don't have the drivers for the headset or something.
I'll have to look into that. But like I said, I'm not a computer expert, so technology in a way is like a foreign language to me. So that's just the type of problem that I was having. And then yeah, I forgot my volume was all the way up too. So hopefully,
Yeah, that was just because your phone was picking up the speaker, and then the speaker was playing what your phone said, and then it was picking that up, and it's just normal feedback.
mhm.
So, all right, well that's kind of a bummer then. Unfortunately, I used to be like real into computers, and now like I haven't messed with computers in a while, so that's all I can think of though. Especially if you're saying like when you're doing other stuff, the headset doesn't work either. Like your headphones won't even
Yeah.
work or whatever. That sounds like you might need to get like an audio driver or something for those, or maybe the hardware's messed
Now
up.
is that?
Headphone jack doesn't work. I don't know.
I would assume the headphone jack doesn't work, but I mean that was a Dell computer, and I don't know. I've heard pretty iffy things about them. I'm not sure if it's just my computer or what's going on with it. I would assume it's, you know, just at the head. I hope that it's just the headphone jack that doesn't work, because at least that can be fixed.
Yeah,
Or,
well, like I said,
yeah.
I would try software issue type stuff first. You know, look into whatever the driver for your audio thing is. You can normally find like a thing online or whatever and download the new drivers. And then you could play around with that just on like, you know, using Windows like audio recorder or something. Like just try and record yourself like on the, you know, the little like microphone thing or whatever. Just like record yourself and then listen back to it and see if it worked. And you know, with pretty much anything like Windows Media Player, I think has a thing that you can just record from a microphone. Trying to see.
Oh, that's.
Yeah, like on my computer, there's a thing. It's just called Voice Recorder, so I could open that up and just like, you know, record my own like MP3 or whatever. And I'm just saying, like for testing it and stuff, you could do that. And then once you know that your headset's like physically working with the computer, then when you try jumping into a Hangout, you might still have to mess with the settings to get the right default one or whatever. But at least then you know that your hardware's working. And then you can try and figure out Google Hangouts. I mean, that's about the computer stuff. I'm not super into it. I just kind of know, like, I know about what I'm trying to do. Like, you know, there's some setting somewhere, and I just kind of mess around with stuff till I figure out what worked. So unfortunately, I can't give you a step by step, but this is what you do because I don't really know.
Hey Ben, can you see the Hangout screen?
Um, ah, come on. All right, yeah, I see it.
Okay, when you joined the Hangouts, did you see something like this where you select your
Yeah.
microphone and all that? And did you have your USB headset selected for those? Now mine
I
looks
actually.
different. Mine looks different because I'm using a mixer, but
Oh, maybe that could be part of it. Yeah, my computer doesn't have a audio mixer, so do you think that could have
well, I
something to
mean,
do with?
so forget what mine says, but if when you plug in your USB headset, it may be that your computer now sees two different microphones and two different speakers, if you will, and you may have to select those when you join the Hangout. I have to do the same thing, but anyway, it was just a thought.
Oh, are you kidding me? So apparently, it's not even my name that comes up in here, which is pretty damn embarrassing.
Yeah, that's what I
God
mentioned
damn it.
earlier, but it's just
Yeah,
because the other Google Hangout thing is logged in on that computer.
oh, so I would have to sign out of that.
Yeah, and then sign into something else.
Oh, that's. Don't you just love technology? It just doesn't work.
It does. You just have to know what you're. Oh,
Let's see. Coke and Absolute. Interesting drink combination.
yeah, I don't get that. I had a friend who drank Coke and vodka, and I thought that's disgusting. Vodka goes with orange juice and Mountain Dew, and that's it. Is there any way you can move your mic a little bit more away from your face? We're hearing you breathing like you're running a marathon.
Oh, crap. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out my. I don't live stream too often, so I have to get a handle on this. All right.
I usually just plug in my earbuds. Matter of fact, I'm using earbuds right now on my laptop because I have a terrible hum with my USB headset. I could actually fix that with an $80 piece of equipment, but I ain't paying $80 to get rid of a hum. An old house and it's not grounded properly, and
Yeah, I'm just using like a gaming headset. It's a oh man, what the hell company is this? Mercedes. So it works pretty good. It was pretty cheap off Amazon or whatever.
it's USB though.
No, it's got the headphone jacks. I actually had to get. That's one of the things I had to get because my computer only has like one, input output. So I had to
Yeah,
get like whatever you call it, like a reverse splitter, right? So I have a separate
yeah, yeah.
jack for mic and headphone. I
Yeah, I
plug
need to
those
do
in
that.
both,
I've
and
got
then it goes
another
into one.
headset that's not USB, but I just had bought that uh, adapter for it because it's, I guess, like yours, it's got two different plugs on it. But uh,
Yeah, it was one of those like I was buying the thing and like it's the one time like Amazon's like pretty useful. It like suggested, do you want one of these things? And when I saw that, I was like, oh, I don't know. Do I want one of those? And I looked at the side of my computer. I'm like, no shit. I only have one plug. Yeah, I better get the thing that turns two into one because otherwise I can either only hear or only talk. And that was the whole point of getting rid of the echo, because when people just use their regular like laptop microphone, the microphone picks up the speaker and thinks you're talking. And that's where a lot of the echo comes from.
Yeah.
And mine actually was fine for a while because I would use this laptop to join chats and everyone said I sounded fine. And I turned down the mic sensitivity enough that it wouldn't pick up the speaker. And so I was like, all right, cool. Well, then I don't know if it was a Windows update or something, but the actual like the setting on Windows, because I watched it happen. When I finally found where microphone sensitivity was, I would turn it down. I was in a hangout. Everyone said, okay, yep, the echo went away. That's good. And as they're talking, I watched it turn itself back up. And then all of a sudden, once it got past like 60% sensitivity, the echo came back. And then I turned it back down to 30 and I hit save. And they're like, okay, yep, it sounds like it's fixed and the echo's back. Because it would think that like I was further away from the computer, so it would turn its sensitivity up until it picked up the talking of other people. And I could not, for the life of me, find anywhere in Windows like a auto adjust or whatever that I could uncheck mark. It's just like built in auto adjust mic sensitivity to hear people. Oh, that's that's what I was gonna. That I knew I was gonna type something. I forgot.
I've been using these earbuds for my phone.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I went on to Google Hangouts on my computer and I signed back into my account. So hopefully this weird name situation that I'm having where it's not coming up as my real name, hopefully that should be fixed soon. I hope.
Do you have Chrome on that computer?
Yes, I was on Chrome. In fact, I was on Firefox and it said that I had to download Chrome to actually use Google Hangouts, so didn't have much of a choice.
Yeah, that's what I do. It's when I go to gun channels, I use Firefox in case I want to get in a hangout. And then I just leave Chrome signed into Google. And it pops me right in.
Yep. Yeah, I have my Chrome signed into the Smeggie account, and then I have the Firefox browser is defaulted to Daily Gun Show. So if I ever want to go in there and update Daily Gun Show stuff, I'm already like signed into that account. But I mean, I could switch back and forth on Chrome too. You just go to like the thing and you go to a drop down. Sure, 2 sips. Okay. Whatever you say, Vanessa. Sorry, I'm just giving her a hard time.
Have you ever tried, have you guys ever tried Red Bull and vodka?
I've never even tried Red Bull.
Yeah, Red Bull's gross.
Yeah, it's terrible. The sugar-free Red Bull almost gave me a heart attack back in 10th grade 2 years ago. And I only had just a little bit. And that was enough to almost give me a heart attack.
Yeah, sounds like you're sensitive to caffeine. You should probably avoid that stuff.
I guess Red Bull must have an insane amount of it because I can drink Monster Energy and NOS no problem.
Oh, really? I think they're all about comparable.
Rockstar. I don't know, I guess.
I'll never forget
Just
the first
something
time
about
I
Red
went
Bull.
to Starbucks one morning. I'm away to work. I was helping a buddy of mine do some remodeling work, and I stopped at Starbucks, and I got a venti with a triple shot. Oh my God! I felt like I was on drugs all day long. Definitely got some work done.
So, is there anything good that's been coming out of the gun community lately? Like good news? Because after after the DC protests and the state capitol protests against us, I don't know. It's been, I'm not gonna lie, it hasn't been looking good.
There's a guy that showed up, did a bunch of on-camera interviews with the folks. And, yeah, it was really interesting. They don't know what they're talking about. They're being used by the Democratic liberal wackadoo machine wackos.
Yeah, did you see I don't know the names of all the kids or whatever, but there was some girl and she was like,
Oh yeah,
we'll ask
she
for
had the
an
Cuban
inch and when
flag.
they give it to us, we'll take a mile. It's like, well, at least you're honest. All of the smarter anti-gunners were probably sitting there going, "Oh, don't say that. Don't tell them what we're actually going to do, you dummy." So I'm hoping their inexperience
But then
in the
again,
political spectrum just
I
shows how
think,
stupid they are.
I mean, the thing is, they know that we know that we're not exactly idiots either. So
Well,
the
know what
not
I mean,
put
they
poison in the
can.
cup in front of me.
they're going for bans on AK and AR style rifles. But
Well, they're going
here's
for
the
the moon, dude.
issue
They're well past
as I
that.
see it. When
And
Heller
hell, I'm
happened,
surprised they.
one of the things they said in their opinion is you cannot ban an entire class of firearms that is commonly used for self-defense. And so it's, of course, like anything else, somebody's going to write a law and we're going to bitch about it. And then, maybe some lawsuits happen and it makes its way up to the top and they overturn it. But, that's a long road to hoe,
Right. Vanessa has a good point out there, though. They're just going for like full on semi-auto. Like I think they've even given up on just assault weapon as a phrase, which something I've heard recently. I don't know if it's on purpose or what, but like remember back in the day, politicians and people on the news, whatever, would call the shit assault rifles, and then they kept constantly getting corrected, saying no, like assault rifle has a definition. It means full auto. And they go, okay, yeah, no, I meant assault weapon, which was a new word they invented with 94, the assault weapons ban, which is semi-auto that looks like a full auto, counterpart, basically. And
Jesus.
they were using that for a while. And then I've just seen more and more stuff recently where they've gone back to calling them all assault rifles. And it's like, what the hell? It's like calling your car a truck. It's like, I'm sorry, that's just, and I know people can hang up and say, don't get hung up on the little stuff, and I get it. I mean, jumping on people for saying clip instead of magazine, it does kind of defeat the purpose. I understand that point. But at the same time, it also does still bug me that I use words for a reason. Like I choose my speech, accurately and precisely. And maybe that's the engineer in me, but if I do a drawing and say, yeah, put it in, whatever, like base coat, and I meant to say clear coat, that's a huge fucking difference. And someone's going to crash a crane into the side of the building because I wrote the wrong thing on a piece of paper. Like, I have to make sure if I write 50 feet and I mean 50 inches, that's a big fucking difference. There's a reason I choose my words properly. And for them to just be like, assault rifle, weapon, blah, 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 scary stuff. Like,
yeah, things that sound scary. That's what they have to rely on. They have to rely on emotion.
Right.
Because you tell them facts, they have an absolute meltdown.
Yeah, I did not support obviously the assault weapons ban, and I don't even like classifying the thing as an assault weapon. However, I could at least acknowledge that they came up with a definition for assault weapon that was different than the definition of assault rifle. And somehow, like, it's basically been just this past push, like this past couple months, that I have heard assault rifle more times now than I have in the past 10 years. Because for the longest, they've been using assault weapon. And now they've just said, screw it. We want them all anyway, so who cares what we call them?
Hey, Smeggie.
Yeah, I played...
Was the assault weapons banned before or after Heller?
Before or after what?
Heller? DC versus Heller?
It would have been before, because it was in 94. Wasn't Heller like... when was Heller? Early 2000s?
Oh, God. So Vanessa says that there's assault pistols.
Yeah, there are.
You got to be kidding me. Oh, God, no.
No, there are. You have it's the Tech 9s, the Mac 10s, and anything that has a forward grip, or anything where the magazine goes into the pistol, not in the pistol grip. That there's a definition of assault pistol. And again, it is what it is. That's
the first time I've heard that. By the way, I only know the term assault rifle because I played Call of Duty in 6th through 8th grade, also known as middle school.
Also known as yesterday.
So that's also known as the days where you could be as immature as you want and make a sexual innuendo out of everything and not totally get.
Yeah. Well, I mean, assault rifle. It comes from Sturmgewehr. The SG-44, which it has an actual definition. It is a
storm rifle,
a select fire rifle that is, fires an intermediate cartridge. Because, I just saw a thing. It was like the history of, the term assault rifle or whatever. And, back in the day, you either had like big giant machine guns that were heavy, like World War I, right? They had machine guns, but they were big and heavy. You couldn't really run around with them. You'd set them up and then you'd sit in your trench for a while. Or you had like rifles and stuff. And the thing that they found is, like, let's say they storm the trenches and they have all these big rifles, it wasn't very good for close combat and stuff. So the Germans worked on a thing, and they ended up going out with a pistol caliber, full auto, which they called submachine guns. And those were okay for close quarters and all that stuff. And then World War II rolls around, and they still either have like big giant, rifles, and some of them, they're either, bolt action, semi-auto, or like full auto, or they have these small little, full auto pistol caliber. And they found that the fighting was done in an intermediate range. They didn't need super long range, but they needed something more powerful than like a 9mm. And so that's where they came up with this like kind of intermediate cartridge between a full center fire, right, like a 30-06 round, and a 9mm round. It's, It was in the middle. So that's the official definition. Assault weapon didn't hit the terminology till I think about 86 was the first time it popped up in the general lexicon. And it was definitely used in 94 as a semi-auto rifle that is similar to like its full auto counterparts. And that's where they listed. Does it have a bayonet lug, pistol grip, detachable magazine, folding stock or adjustable stock, like all the different features, barrel shroud, the features of the gun. And so, gun manufacturers said, oh, we can't have more than 2 of these. All right, we'll grind off the barrel lug and we'll pin the the collapsible stock in place. And okay, it has a pistol grip and it has a detachable magazine, but it doesn't have more than 2, so we're okay. Okay, so CT defines assault pistol as any semi-automatic pistol with a removable magazine such that it has 2 or more features listed. Okay, so kind of same thing with the assault weapon. These are the features. You can pick 2. You can't have more than that. And then, let's see, a threaded barrel will make it an assault pistol. Well, can you name all the features? I'd like to know. I think I know some of the features, being a magazine that is not in the pistol grip, and also a forward, like, vertical grip or something like that, or a forward grip. A threaded barrel. I'm trying to think what else it would have. Open bolt may be one of the things. I might be speaking out of turn on that.
I think open bolts weren't open bolt guns banned in the 80s? Because I heard that, there's in the US we're not allowed to have open bolt guns anymore. I think
I don't think so, because I think you can still get, if it's a semi-auto but it's an open bolt, that might have gone away with 94, but I'm not sure. I don't know enough about open bolts.
Oh, something else just came to mind right now. Do you I look in my school, I see, so many kids protesting, and I've gone on social media, and I asked them to try to debate me, and they just refuse. Do you think they've been indoctrinated into believing their whole lives that the Second Amendment is just the bastard child of the Constitution?
No, I think they're dumb kids.
I mean, they can be, but
well,
I feel like
now that the kids at that age are not mature enough to think rationally. Okay.
And then the ones that are
so they tend to make decisions based on emotions. For example, the guy was interviewing a lady down at the march, and he's like, okay, well, so you want to ban assault rifles? Yeah. So, well, do you think you ought to also ban handguns? And she's like, oh, no, handguns are fine. And then he throws the numbers at her. And I don't remember exactly what the number was, but it was 7,000 deaths by handguns versus 300 by, quote, assault weapons.
Well, hang on. The number, just for, I don't remember the exact numbers either, but the 300 number is all rifles. So, quote unquote, assault weapon would be a subset of 300. I mean, I'm sure there are people that have been killed with a bolt action or a lever gun or something like that as well. And all of that adds up to 300.
Yeah. So is that the same, probably
year.
The same video I'm thinking about?
Well, I just remember that from the FBI stats. You can go to FBI.gov and you go to the what's that called? The criminal justice stats or something like that.
The media, like the LA Times, the New York Times, they even came out and admitted that, gun control fails. Like come straight out and admitted that in full-length articles. I've seen
Yeah, but a lot of times
like
they say it
countless
failed because
numbers
we
of
didn't
them.
do enough. That's normally their thing.
Here's where they don't think rationally. Okay, and to us, this is just common sense. So, what gun control controls the firearms of law-abiding citizens, right? It does nothing for the
Yeah.
criminals. The criminals don't care. They're going to get their guns. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, whether they steal from a family member or go straight to the black market, that's what happens. And a lot of these kids just don't realize that. And, it's even promoted in all the music that they listen to, The only thing I ever hear blaring out of kids' headphones in my school is just rap music that's about, like
it's all the rap music's
sex,
fault.
drugs,
I'm 80 years old.
Yeah, well, first of all,
no, I mean, I'm just making a point.
It's not music. It's rhythm and poetry. There's no musical element.
I was just pointing out.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I wanted to go back here.
I was just pointing that out.
Yeah. Vanessa clarified what the language of the law. So, with the assault weapon is the features listed. So it's basically if it semi-automatic with a removable magazine and has 2 or more of these features. So pistol grip, a mag outside the pistol grip, which I knew that one, threaded barrel, and barrel shroud. So basically any semi-automatic pistol with a removable mag, it's already going to have pistol grip. So you cannot have any of the other things, which is mag outside, threaded barrel, and a barrel shroud.
Wait a minute. They're all cosmetic features.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing. They're all cosmetic features.
See, now we're getting back to the emotional thing. It looks scary. Oh my God, that scares me. Let's ban it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's very similar to the rifle part, which is in Connecticut it's with 1 feature: barrel shroud, forward grip, pistol grip, fold or collapsible stock, bayonet lug, and a flash hider. So you can, if you have 1 or more of those features, that's where, you guys are all familiar with the featureless rifle. You hear it a lot for California, but I guess it would work in some of these other states as well, where they have like that weird stock that is almost like a bolt action rifle stock, how it like swoops down or whatever. You can still get your thumb around it, but it's not considered a pistol grip because it's attached to the stock part. And then they just make sure that you don't have any, the no bayonet lug and the other stuff. No flash hider. You can have a compensator though, so you can make the thing louder and more obnoxious and shoot a big fireball, but you can't get rid of that. So I don't know. Oh, but anyways, I wanted to go back to something you had said, Al, and I'm playing devil's advocate here more for just to construct my own argument, because I don't know, there's no right answer to this or whatever, but I just want to kind of throw this out here. When you talk about, well, criminals, they don't follow the law anyways, right? They'll just get it anyways. And it's like, yeah, I agree with that. But with having stuff already being illegal, do you think that when this criminal who happens to, let's say a felon or whatever, who happens to get a gun anyways in the black market, now when he gets pulled over for a traffic ticket, like a speeding ticket, and then they end up like seeing the gun or whatever, and now he's in trouble for having the gun, like, do you think that is a preventative type thing? Because now since they can't even own it, whether they get it or not, I agree with you, they will still get it. But now that they have it, they can get busted for anything, like something, whatever. They're having a barbecue at their house and the music's too loud. The cops show up and they see a rifle through the window. Hey, you're not allowed to have that. Like, do you think that actually is a preventative thing?
Nah.
No.
I really don't. That's why they're called criminals.
I know, but do you think that yeah, they're called criminals. The same reason why, okay, drugs are illegal, and people say, yeah, but people do drugs anyways. That's true, but if you get caught with drugs in your car, you go to jail.
Right.
So there is still like a punishment system that may be a little more preventative.
Well, they just try to hide them and get caught,
I don't know if that's a good enough counter argument. Like I said, I don't know of a good way of answering that. And to be honest, I haven't heard anti-gunners saying that kind of stuff, but I can look at it from their point of view, and I think that's a decent argument. Is that yes, if you make something illegal, people will still do it. I completely agree with that. However, you may catch the guy before he does something super bad, and because it was already illegal for him to have like a gun to begin with, you've arrested him and put him in jail before he even robbed the store, before he even used the gun inappropriately. And is that a valid point? Is that something that's worthwhile?
Well, but my question would be, what percentage get caught?
I don't know. That would be something to look into. I mean, I think it happens. I think in the same way, again, they might be getting busted for something else, and now the cops will, how they stack as many charges as possible. So let's say that dude selling a little bit of weed or something. Let's say he's that person, and they're like, okay, you get busted for the weed. Now he also happens to have a bunch of guns. So now he's going to court with a bunch of gun charges and the weed charge. And yeah, they're going to throw, 4 of those charges out, but get a plea deal on like the one charge. He goes to jail for a couple years or something. Whereas if it weren't for like having 5 charges against him, let's say it was just the drug thing, just the one charge, that person's less likely to plead because he's not getting anything in return. So it's going to go to court, and maybe turns out the warrant wasn't good, and that evidence gets thrown out. Now he's out on the street with no consequences. So by having a way to, tack on. Okay, I'm getting notes. Anyways, having a way to tack on some extra stuff, and even if it does get pleaded away, it guarantees that conviction on like the first couple ones.
Well, does the criminal even care?
I think
most
he cares
likely
if he
not.
goes to jail for 5 years versus 25 years.
I'll go to jail for 5 years, and I'll get my good behavior time, and I'll be out in a year and a half. Go rob a store and get me some money. I think the bigger issue is we're not putting people away long enough.
I tend to think the kind of the opposite way. I think we put too many people away for stupid crap, and then like you said, when they get out, I don't want to say they don't have a choice, because everyone has a choice, but they feel as if, or the easy thing to do, which, okay, let's face it, most criminals they tend to be lazy and stupid, and I'm generalizing here for sure, but they're going to go the easy route instead of working hard and doing whatever. So anyways, you get tossed in jail for a couple years for just having a little bag of pot on you or something. When you get out, then you are going to rob the store. Whereas if you didn't get thrown in jail for having a little bit of pot on you, maybe you got your job at McDonald's and you became shift manager, and you never went down that path of, becoming a criminal. So that's just me personally. I think we have way too many people in jail for stupid crap, And instead, I completely agree. Like with murderers and stuff, like life sentence means life. You should never get out. I don't get when people are like, oh yeah, they got a life sentence and we're out in 20 years. It's like, in what world does life mean 20 years? No, life means till you die. So go in there till you die. That's how it works. And I'm honestly, I'm not opposed to death penalty either. But that's a kind of a different subject.
I think your point that too many people are in there for little stupid minor shit.
Right, and it's been shown that people that go
that the prison system is so overcrowded with that kind of stuff, they're just sending people home. What they ought to be doing is keeping the felons in there for 10, 15 years. It's like
I heard over 75% of all prison inmates or something with like in prison for drugs were nonviolent offenders. So let me do the math here. I think we have like 3.2 million Americans in prison right now. I think
can
that's
be
the highest
misleading, but yeah, that's kind of what I was getting to. That was my point, is that people that just have, possession charges for whatever. Again, this is my libertarian coming out, because I don't even do drugs, but I think that pot should be legal. I don't think the harder stuff should be, although I've seen, arguments for where there's some place where like heroin's legal, but you go to like a clinic and like they give it to you and you can't like take it with you, and then it's like safe and it reduced like all the overdoses or whatever. I don't know if I necessarily agree with it, but it's an argument. It's another side of the point. But so here's my point that I wanted to get to, is that number is misleading, because sometimes, let's say they did have some type of violent charge as well, and they plead down to just, intent to distribute, and they throw out the assault charge or whatever. So some of those people are what I would call like actual like bad guys, but on paper they're just like drug users. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, it's a lot of people, and that's what I was getting at, is I don't think all those people necessarily should be in there. And then another point I had wanted to say earlier was that it's been shown that people go into jail and it does not reform them. It teaches them how to be better criminals, because they go in for whatever, some stupid thing, and then while they're there, they meet up with some other guy who's like a really good bad guy, and he teaches them like how to not get caught and how to do more bad stuff. And I mean, it's shown that people come out of jail with like more knowledge of how to avoid the legal system than when they went in. And that's not helping anyone. If it's just some kid who has a little bit of pot on him and he comes out knowing how to launder money, he's going to end up being more of a bad guy.
Yep, sadly enough, I actually have friends that have gone down that path. I have friends that either are or have been in jail at one point for drugs. And they just keep on coming out, they're like, hey, I learned to do this while I was in jail from, this guy. Like, that is pretty damn sad. And, would you guys be mad if I told you that I think that, the music that kids my age listen to is a big contributor to the drug and crime problems that we have today? Because, they listen to rap and it's
I would
about
just
nothing.
Categorically disagree with you. But I'm not mad. I don't mind disagreeing with people. I can understand that point. That, yeah, it does. It glorifies, whatever. Being a gangbanger is like cool, or calling girls bitches or whatever is cool, and that it's changes the way people think a little bit. I can see that point of it. I don't think it's that much of a factor.
I'm not. It very well could be, based on, like, rap is the most popular genre of music in the world. I'm not sure if you guys knew that, but it really is. And, it's just promoting nothing but sex, crime, drugs, disobedience, this whole, like, fuck the police concept, and, just generally
but
disrespecting.
in one form or another, that's been going on for a long time.
Yeah, and that's where.
Oh, I'm not.
I grew up in the '60s, okay, and so us kids, we learned to cuss, and we got in fights, and we, might have done a little minor vandalism here and there, nothing major. We shot each other in the ass with BB guns, but we didn't friggin' wind up hardened criminals, because there was back then there was discipline and morals in the home. We don't have that right now. It's okay, don't do that. Okay, don't do that. Okay, third time, don't do that. You're going over to the alternate learning school. What the hell kind of punishment is that?
I never understood suspensions. Like, you got in trouble at school, so your punishment is not going to the thing that you hate going to anyways. Like, maybe back in the day, because your parents would crap on you for getting suspended, but nowadays it's like, wait, day off? Hell yeah.
That's what everybody in my school treated the walkout protest as, just a way to cut class.
Well,
and almost
that walked out were actually on spring break. So what the hell is that? Is that a walkout?
Oh no, I'm talking about
the
one
teachers
2
are
weeks
endorsing
ago.
a walkout, you're doing protesting wrong.
Oh, they are. A lot of the teachers actually went, which really scares me. And then my ex-military teacher, who just happens to be an NRA member, actually used the walkout protest as a way to show why he supports guns and why he's an NRA member. You know what happens the next day? Yeah, a kid decided to complain to the office, and then he tried to call him an extremist or something and tried to get him in trouble. It didn't exactly work. So, and then 2 weeks prior, I was actually searched because an anti-gun kid, I assume, wanted to say that I had gun parts on me, which, one, I don't even have guns, and two, I'm not stupid enough to do it anyway. And honestly, it kind of makes them look guilty. Whoever.
Yeah, but unfortunately, in this day and age now, that's you can, if you make the system strong, if you make the system strong enough, you can use it as a weapon against your enemies. And that's the same thing with these extreme risk protection orders and stuff. And people are, it's legitimately worried about is that what happens if someone misuses that? And the biggest example where I could see it probably being misused is during divorce cases. I mean, we've already seen, I'm not saying all of them or whatever, but we've already seen there are people that when they're getting divorced, especially when they're fighting over kids, because that's like the biggest, hot button issue and whatnot, they will claim like fake abuse or whatever, because then when the judge is trying to figure out, hey, who should the kid live with? Should they live with this person who seems nice and fine, or live with this other person who has an assault charge against them? Like, they're gonna put the kid with the other one all the time. I mean, that's just like, again, it should be wrong. I'm pretty sure it's illegal. I don't know how many of them end up getting prosecuted after the fact if it's found out that they were lying and it never happened. But that same thing could happen with like gun orders, because again, if you're deciding who do you want the kids to live with as a judge, and you have the one person that's like, just, oh, I'm just a nice, happy person. And then you have this other person that, whether there was evidence or not, even got accused of, being a risk to themselves or others. Well, you don't want a kid to be in that type of environment. Like I said, even if it's not like they said, oh, he threatened to shoot me, they say, like, I'm worried he's going to shoot himself. And then it's like, well, I don't want to put the kids in a home with someone who may be, depressed and be suicidal. Like, what would that do to the kids? That's going to mess them up. So I can predict that those will be misused. And I don't know if they've been around. There's a couple states that do already have them. And I don't know if they've been around long enough to have any type of hard numbers or data about like how many once you finally do get due process, however many months or weeks later, how many of them are found that, yeah, they did have enough evidence, or how many just get thrown out. Maybe I can look into that, but
well,
I see that potential of being misused, like glaring right in your face.
When I got my divorce, I stayed in the house, and she went to her dad's, and a couple of days later, I got served a restraining order, and I'm like, what the hell is this? I haven't done anything. I mean, it wasn't even a bad divorce. It's just like she comes in one night and says, we need to talk. I'm like, oh, shit. And so I asked my lawyer, and he's like, oh, that's just standard. They just
right.
do it.
It's a bargaining chip, that kind of thing. Because then if you give up the boat, she'll get rid of the restraining order. That type of thing. They use it as a tool.
Leverage.
I mean, I saw a court case. They were up there and they were talking blah 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 whatever, and the judge had basically asked the lady, was like, so why did it wasn't restraining order, but it was something about like the mom had asked for like supervised visits with the kids instead of just like letting the dad have the kids for the weekend. And that kind of implies like the dad's going to like do something wrong with the kids. And so someone from the court has to be there. So the judge even asked, was like, so, I see you're asking for like supervised visits. Like why is that? Like, does this dad have like history of abuse or, whatever, something? And straight up the lady said, oh, no, I thought that's what you're supposed to do. She's like, I read somewhere that's what you're supposed to ask for. And the lawyer's sitting there going like, shut up, lady. Like, that makes us look bad. Like, and he even jumped in. He said, yeah, he said, Judge, like this, she asked for that when she like filed by herself. And since I was brought on board, we have no problem with getting rid of that. Like, that was, and that's, but yeah, so she read on some, forum somewhere that says, make sure you ask for, supervised visits, because then that gives you the upper hand in negotiating or whatever. And the judge was like, okay, yeah, we're getting rid of that. Like, that there's no history or no reason for it. Like, he can just have his kids for unsupervised, which, it happens with most people. And I forget if he got it, twice a week or twice a month or, whatever. I wasn't paying that much attention, but I just remember that stuck out to me. It was like, oh, I thought that's what you're supposed to do. And then the lawyer even saying, yeah, that was before she had counsel and she made a mistake, and we're not asking for that anymore.
Yeah, how I got around that. So my ex basically didn't want to give me anything. Now, we didn't have any kids together, but she had a minor son. And so it's like, okay, I don't have any money. I'm broke. And I'm like thinking, bullshit. We both work in IT. I know how much you make. You can't tell me you don't have any money. And I wasn't getting anything done out of my lawyer. He was just kind of dragging his feet. So So I fired off a fax, because, I mean, hey, we'd have email back there. And
I
I
sent out
couldn't get
courier
her attorney
pigeons.
to talk to me. Yeah. And so I fired off a fax to her attorney's office basically saying, I know she has money. If she's telling you she doesn't and her bank accounts are dry, that means she transferred all her money to her minor son's bank account. And so here's what we're going to do. We're going to file discovery. And that's the last thing they want to hear is discovery, because it's a long, drawn out process. We're going to file discovery on the son's bank account. But about 30 minutes later, my lawyer called me and he goes, "What the hell did you say? They just called me and said they accepted your offer." I'm like, well,
You're like, I did your job for you.
Yeah, exactly. But fortunately, I don't even know where I saw that's what I'm with discovery. Because it was basically a no fault, she got her stuff and I got my stuff. And, we didn't have kids together. We used to split the house and that kind of stuff. So she had her car, I had my car, I got my tools, and she got her dishes.
Yeah,
And
say
stuff.
it's good when it I don't want to say works out okay, but like basically when it works out pretty fair, because there's definitely some people go nuts with it, and sometimes they ask for the moon and get it, and sometimes it backfires in their face. But yeah, I mean, we could go back talking about guns and whatnot too, because I don't want to keep bumming people out or whatnot. But I just brought that up because I can see these extreme risk protection orders being a bargaining chip and saying, "Do you want your guns back? Well, then give me the boat." Or do you want your guns back? Like I get the kids, on summer vacation or whatever. Because that kind of stuff does happen.
I don't know what it's like in other states. I read the one in Florida, and it's basically a 48-hour deal. And you have to have a hearing for the judge to decide if, they want to keep them longer than 48 hours. And if you don't get that hearing, you just get your stuff back. But,
well, at least, I mean, I don't know either how the other ones are worded, but that's at least better than, okay, you get your hearing 2 months from now or whatever.
Yeah.
It's nice that 48, because that's, I don't want to say reasonable or common sense because they've perverted those words, but it's at least not, it's not super crappy. Is that a word?
Of course, it's a state by state thing, but we've had protection orders and restraining orders and that kind of stuff forever here. Judges do it all the time, but it's not like a permanent thing, and there has to be some, in some cases, there has to be, for example, if it's because you're mentally deficient or whatever, a doctor, a physician has to diagnose you as mentally deficient, and that has to go to the judge. I mean, it's not like somebody can just say, "Hey, this guy's crazy, take his stuff." That's not the way it works. But now, with the extreme whatever, I don't know. But
I think, and again, like you said, different states are different, and there's only been a few states anyways that have like done that, so I guess we'll see what happens type of thing. But I believe it's basically the people go and like petition the court to, basically take away your guns, and like they have to at least have like some type of evidence, but the problem is you're not you're not there. You know what I mean? Like you're not there to
Well, and the next
defend
issue
yourself.
is how honest and upfront is the judge that signed it. You know, is he going to be a flaming liberal that's like, I don't need that stuff? Granted, you know.
Right. And that's yeah, exactly. And you know that the prosecutors and stuff or even like cops, they do that kind of all the time, right? Where it's like, oh, let's
Yeah.
wait for this judge. He'll give us the warrant. You know what I mean? Like they wait and they file stuff in certain areas or certain times knowing that, oh, we have a good rapport with this judge. He'll sign off on it no matter what.
As long as you get your due process, you know. Now, if it's somebody certifiably a lunatic nutcase, I don't want them to have guns. You know, and a lot of
I'm just
people
asking
are
for
like,
due process and
no,
that type of thing.
that's anti-Second Amendment. And I'm like, according to Heller, it ain't.
Yeah, I mean, it's I hesitate to say stuff like, you know, crazy people shouldn't have guns because the problem gets in is how do you define that? And we've seen states that have
Well,
really overstepped
and
their bounds.
I sort of put that in layman terms, but I'm talking about, you know, where a psychiatrist is basically going, this guy's batshit crazy. Um, you know,
Again, if you go through the
or
due process,
whatever.
which is how the law is written now,
Yeah,
then I'm okay with it. You know, like I can understand that. But I do have a fear in the future that
it'll be
it will be used for anything. And here's the problem, like especially let's say they take it away because of depression. And I get that. You want to reduce suicides and all that stuff and same way like if you know someone's depressed, maybe you take the painkillers out of the house or whatever. Like if you're a parent, you have kids, you watch them a little more. Unfortunately, there are many different ways and people if they're really committed, they will find a way. But either way, so let's say it is a depression thing. Well, if you're depressed when you're 22 and let's say you get over it and you're much better and whatever, I don't see that as a permanent mental thing. Like schizophrenia might be like a permanent
it's
mental
not
thing.
it's not a mental deficiency.
Right. And there are actually many things. I don't want to get necessarily too far into it, but
there are tons of them, you know.
right. So, so the depression thing, and I saw this guy on he was on Joe Rogan, and he was saying basically like we prescribe like prescription drugs a little too much for depression. Like everyone's been taught it's a chemical thing. Like it's physically your brain is messed up. Therefore, physically we can give you these pills and you'll be better. When other times it's like people might be like mild depressed or whatever, and then they get a new job and all of a sudden they come out of it. Like sometimes it is environmental. And so my point being is, let's say the judge takes your guns away when you're 22 because you failed your chemistry exam or whatever, and you went through this big whole thing, and you dropped out of school, and oh my God, you're super depressed. Your parents are worried about you. They get you help. I'm glad you got help. Awesome. But now you're 47. Can you still not own a gun because 25 years ago you were involuntarily committed to a thing because there was clear evidence that you were suicidal or something? That's the part that's where those gray areas that the people don't talk about. The bumper sticker says crazy people shouldn't have guns, and everyone says, yeah, we agree. And then when the nuts and bolts come out, it's definitely a lot more complicated than that. And I'm not super familiar with those types of laws. I don't know if there is a way to petition to get yourself off the NICS, where if you go into a psychiatrist and prove that you're not that way anymore, that they'll give you your rights back. I don't know how that works. But I think pretty much like the NICS, once you're in the system, you don't get out of it. So the more people they add, it's just like a fly trap, like you just keep adding more and more. And eventually will all be on there.
I was gonna ask something. Do you guys think the gun community is screwed after what we had to face on, Saturday with all the protests and just the lack of real motivation to be going to DC with, some exceptions, and thank God the exceptions actually care enough. But
simple answer, no.
No. We've been through this.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. Sorry, Al, I didn't hear you.
Worst comes to worst, maybe we'll have another assault weapons ban. But it's like I was saying earlier, it could be after Heller that those type of weapons are so popular now for home defense, self-defense, for the preppers, whatever. It could, and it have to go through the courts, but it could be that the Supreme Court will say no. That's an entire class of firearms, and you can't do that. I don't know. I mean, that's
right.
The problem is there have not been a whole lot of Second Amendment court cases. The Supreme Court generally doesn't touch them. There's only been 2 or 3, I think.
The last one they touched.
It's mostly a states' rights issue. So I don't know.
Oh no.
Yeah, and part of the problem is the Supreme Court likes to step in when district courts disagree with each other. That was one of the things when oh crap, what was it called? It was the California
DC.
No, that's not what I was talking about. That one they did rule on, and then they also ruled on McDonald. They billed on Heller for the McDonald versus Chicago. Peruta went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and that was basically a carry where they were going to force states to be shall issue, which basically means if they do not disqualify and they jump through all your hoops, you have to give them a permit. Unlike may issue, where they could pretty much say, yeah, you're totally a good person, but you don't have a good enough reason, because you can't just say, well, in case, self-defense. Like, that's not a good reason, whatever. So anyways, that went all the way up. And the reason the Supreme Court didn't take it is because there was no other district court that basically disagreed with the Ninth Circuit. So it went up through the Ninth Circuit and they said, no, this is constitutional. This is fine. We needed some BS law in the Second Circuit or whatever to go up through the Second Circuit that says, yeah, it should be shall issue. Now you have 2 district courts fighting each other. They gave, differing opinions. Therefore, the Supreme Court steps in and said, these people are correct, not those people. That's when they step in. So the courts are the slowest thing, but I think sometimes some of our best victories can come from the court system. It takes the longest, but because of that, once a ruling comes in, it's like in concrete, and it takes a lot longer for the antis to chisel away that concrete than passing laws back and forth.
And if you remember Sean, I don't know his last name, from Florida, that used to come in the chat.
I believe his official legal name is Sean from Florida Carry. So his middle name is From, and his last name's Florida Carry.
Yeah. But
oh no,
he used to say all the time that they spend most of their time and money in the courts.
Yep. The Second Amendment Foundation is like that as well. Especially when people bash the NRA, they're like, oh, the NRA sucks, join Gun Owners of America. Gun Owners of America definitely are very vocal, and they do, lobbying efforts and whatnot. But not a lot of people mention Second Amendment Foundation because they do a lot of court stuff, and they've done a lot of good things for us. And I'm personally a life member, so I'm officially endorsing Second Amendment Foundation for the Smeggies Cave. Again, I'm just speaking on behalf of myself, but look into them if you're interested as gun rights people. And you know, you don't have to be a life member, but whatever, you know, toss them $10 if you want, even. I mean, any little bit helps, especially if they have a concentrated, like if you get on their mailing list, like their email list or whatever, they'll send you stuff and it'll be like, you know, specifically this case, like we are fighting this thing in San Diego or this thing in Massachusetts or whatever. And then you can give them money that specifically just goes towards that court case. So maybe you disagree with them on other stuff. You can support them on the things you do agree with. Or you can just give them and say, hey, use my money however you feel like, which is personally what I do because I trust them.
Another thing about that type of stuff is where I live out here in central Maryland, where, pro gunners get persecuted, especially in school. I mean, there are the groups of kids that, are like me, but they're not as vocal. But the NRA around here kind of has a monopoly on a lot of the local ranges in the Annapolis, Maryland area. So you have to be an NRA member just to even get into some of these ranges. Did you guys know that? Like, are you aware of that?
I've heard of that before. I know of ranges that are NRA ranges, and that's the way I look at it is that kind of stuff. They're putting money into running the range, so I can kind of see it. And again, a lot of people do bash the NRA, but I would still say, support like the main NRA. Their main focus is still education and gun safety and running ranges and doing hunting rights and different stuff. And then the NRA ILA, which is a separate entity, although they're related, it is completely separate. If you don't like what they're doing in the lobbying efforts, then don't give to the ILA. Just tell them that. Be like, listen, you guys are, supporting Fix Nicks, and I think it's dumb. I don't want to give you money. You're perfectly fine to do that. But in a way, I'm going to defend the NRA a little bit, saying they still do a lot of work, and I don't agree with them 100%. I'm still a member just because I became a member a little bit ago, and it was like a 3-year one. So I'll have a decision to make when that comes up if I want to support them again or not. I'm leaning towards still supporting them. I still like getting their magazine. That's just, a selfish reason, but I enjoy reading their magazine. So, that's part of it, or that's part of where the money goes. And then the other part, I do support the stuff that they do as far as training and education. I don't like so much LaPierre coming out there and being dumb, which is why when I get my ballot for board of directors, I'm going to pick people that, well, it just happened. But, in future years, I'll pick people that, don't agree with LaPierre and maybe might kick them out. And there are some good people. It's one of those things, it's easier to change from within than from the outside. So there's that aspect of it as well.
Although what I heard they did was like they'll sort of change the rules or something so that, there can be no inside infiltrators. I heard there was a case where like Wayne LaPierre got first elected or something, and then they just sort of changed the guidelines.
Well, they made it
from within.
Not necessarily once you're in, they made it harder for outsiders to get on the ballot for the board of trustees, because basically the board of trustees of the NRA is 75 people. And when you get elected to the board, you get elected for 3 years. And what they do is they'll do an election for 25 spots every year. So you can only ever change a third of the board at a time. So it's like you're either in group A, B, or C. And so every 3 years, you're with like the same people trying to get elected. And part of it is, it's still kind of the good old boys club where the existing members vote on like who gets on the ballot for those 25 spots. So there's a lot of incumbents. Like once you're already in, you're going to be on the ballot again. And if you want to come in for, like, let's say I want to run for the board of trustees. I've never been on it before. So they have made it harder. I have to get petitions signed with, I don't know how many signatures, but they've made it it used to be like I could just show up and be like, hey, I want to run. They're like, okay. And my name would show up on the ballot. And now it's harder to get on the ballot. But basically the ballot comes and there's like, I don't know, like 30 names and they're fighting for 25 spots. So one of the things is basically if you do want to be the change that you want to see or whatever that quote is, it's best to like only vote for a couple of people you actually like. Because really, like when you see, Charlton Heston or Ted Nugent or like, they're gonna have so many people voting for them. Like they're locked in. They're getting on the thing, whether they do good or not. Like so try not to vote for like famous people or whatever because they're probably already gonna get in. Because there's a lot of dumb people who just go, I know that name, check mark. And if you vote for 25 people and like you really only like the 2 or 3 at the bottom, well, by voting for the other people, it's harder for them. Like you water down your vote kind of. Whereas if you just vote for them, those other people don't have as many votes. So some of the like maybe like the bottom 5 are going to be fighting with like the 2 or 3 new people, and you might have a chance of flipping and getting, I'll call them one of like the good guys, getting them onto the board. And I've read some articles about that of like why not vote for, like why not pick 25 people. And I thought I'm not explaining the thing as well, but it was a pretty decent argument of basically you end up watering down the vote when you vote for everyone else, because basically they just at the end of the day they add everyone up and the top 25 people like with the most votes get on. So if you vote for people you don't really know or you don't really like, well then they might end up having more votes than the person you actually do like. So just vote for the one you actually do like, and he might jump frog somebody. But anyway, so you are kind of right. They have made it harder to get people on the board and whatnot. And that was a safeguard because of the revolution in Cleveland, which basically like overnight or over the course of, I think it was like one day, they like voted out almost the whole board of trustees and got a whole bunch of new people in, which were much more politically active. And that's, I'd recommend you look that up if you're interested in NRA history. And it's called like the Revolt in Cleveland. And it basically took the NRA from just a bunch of like, oh, we don't care about gun rights, like we're just going to talk about which bolt action rifle is coolest, to being very involved in protecting the Second Amendment, which I support. So I'm happy that happened. And like I said, I still disagree with them on some stuff, and that's, you pick your battles. The enemy of my enemy can still be my ally, and when they say something I don't like, I can still criticize them. That's the way I look at it. For the stuff they do that I like, I'm glad they're there. The stuff they do that I don't like, I tell them I don't like it. And that's about the best my voice can be.
I'm not sure if you watched Ghost Chat last night with Ghost Tactical and Clover Tack, but I asked what I feel was a pretty interesting question, and that's who is more of an egomaniac between President Trump, David Hogg, and Axl Rose? Who's the bigger egomaniac?
So here's how I would answer that. Is Trump the president? Is that
Yeah.
Why does it matter?
Oh, it's just sort of a random question.
Yeah.
I don't know any of their personalities enough to judge that. I think they're probably all somewhat full of themselves, and there's a lot of humans like that.
To be super successful, you really have to be somewhat of an egomaniac, because you're just, you're success driven to get things done. You've convinced yourself you can do anything, and you go out and you do anything. And I don't know. I mean, there's a reason a billionaire is a billionaire.
I kind of looked at it from like a personality perspective, like Axl Rose from Guns N' Roses. Like I was gonna mention that. Like if you don't know who Axl Rose is, he's the lead singer of Guns N' Roses. He's
Who the hell doesn't know who Axl Rose is? How condescending is that comment?
Michael Cornett even says my money's on Axl. I gotta agree. I think Axl Rose, still to this day, is of the three the bigger egomaniac.
I guess my question is, what's the point of the question though? Like, what does it matter?
It's kind of a random question. Change the topic a bit. But yeah, one thing's for sure. He has riled up a lot of people. He started 2 riots in the early 90s. Because he stormed off the stage in St. Louis at the new amphitheater that was just...
I'm sorry, but who cares about Guns N' Roses? They make music. Some of their songs are good, some of them are bad. But I'm not sure where this line of conversation is going. Like what's the point? Let's say, okay, one of them's a big egomaniac. Like, okay. I'm not sure what that relates to anything.
Well, just a random question. I'm trying to keep the chat going on the YouTube side because it's been dead the last half hour.
Yeah, well, they should be on the gun channel side because YouTube sucks. The Smeggie Cave's the place to be.
I thought the place to be was Pornhub because that's where some gun channels are actually going. InRange TV
like
just went there.
Thing. Yeah,
and I think even
got a bunch of animated pornography on the bottom of the page. I think that was more of a stunt.
Yeah, I think it was too, and that's, to be honest, I don't like it that much just because it seems to almost be admitting that like guns are like the seedy side of society. Like they're supposed to be hidden. Like there's something taboo about them.
I mean, the media is going to paint that picture of us anyway,
Yeah, but we don't need to help them. Yeah,
I think we've already helped them. I think we've helped them long enough by, not really getting it together in DC. I think that's the one thing we absolutely should have done. So I think in that sense, we've already helped the media out, showing that we don't care.
I don't think that's what it shows at all. I mean, for one, there's no reason we have to necessarily go, the same day they're going and all that stuff. There's plenty of time to have other rallies. And for two, I think the state level is just as important. And I was in Lansing on Saturday. I was showing my support. So they had a anti-gun march in the morning and we had a pro-gun march in the afternoon. So people are out there doing stuff. We have, the beginning of this chat, right? There's one in Minnesota on the 31st. There's one in Florida on April 14th. So people are getting organized. They're standing up and fighting. And, part of the problem is a lot of gun people tend to be fairly, like independent thinkers, right? You ever hear the thing like herding cats or whatever. And so because we all think for ourselves, it's harder to just get us to blindly follow like whoever they want, So whereas the anti-gun side says, oh, I'm supposed to be here today. Will you give me a bus? You will? Okay, cool. And then there you go. You got a busload of people showing up. And they're showing up because someone on Facebook told them to, and they said, oh, okay, I guess I'm supposed to. They don't even know what the heck they're talking about. They just show up. So I don't like necessarily being negative about it. Could we fight harder? Certainly we could, and I always encourage people to do so. But that almost kind of goes back to that question you asked before when you asked, "Are we all screwed?" I don't think we're all screwed, and we have gone through this before. And is this maybe a tougher fight than in '94? It's possible, but they did it in '94. They banned assault weapons. It didn't do anything, so we have statistics on our side. And then, secondly, we have the internet now. Back in '94, I guess AOL was a thing, but most people found out about the assault weapons ban after it passed, unless they were already like super gun law nerds, like they were, whatever, working for a lobbyist or working for an organization or something. Everyone heard about it after the fact and said, wait, they did what? That's dumb. And like was mentioned earlier, the AR is definitely, there are way more ARs in this country today than there were, let's say, in '93. Like, yeah, they were a thing back then, but they were definitely looked at as like, oh, it's like kind of an oddity. Like, I'd rather have my bolt gun, or I'd rather have this, that, or the other. And now, friggin' everyone and their grandma has an AR. So we definitely have way more people on our side nowadays than we did in '94. And we have the power and the tools to, resist a ban like this. So I guess it's my internal optimism, but we can always fight and we can always do better. But
so speaking of the fight, did you do do you do Twitter?
I don't really use Twitter, no.
Okay. So did you do any Pro 2A hashtag March for Our Lives things on Saturday?
I didn't use hashtag March for Our Lives. I did Instagram photos of the Michigan rally, the Pro 2A one.
So I did one on Saturday, I think it was, on Twitter. Just because I saw somebody in some Facebook, page said, hey, y'all ought to do this hashtag with the Pro 2A. So here's what I posted on Twitter on Saturday. I go, so a bunch of liberals used a bunch of kids to protest what they don't even understand, knowing full well the kids would jump at the chance of a free road trip in 5 seconds on TV. That is the sickness we're faced with. Sick, perverted, liberal politics. Hashtag March for Our Lives. And I got a few interesting replies.
Did you get some anti-gunners replying to you?
Oh yeah, here's one that cracked me up. There's one guy writes back and he says, so worried they're going to take your penis extension away? To which I reply, you sure seem to have a thing for body parts, but that's okay. It takes all types.
That's pretty clever.
Yeah, dude,
that's funny.
That's the most, the most common ad hominem attack against gun owners is like, well, I guess you got a small dick, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I don't know, whatever. I tend to not, like, I'm like with you. I kind of giggle to myself, as like, yeah, that's dumb. But if that's your bet, like, here's the thing. I'd want to like say to that person, like, is that your best argument? Like, what are you expecting is going to happen? I'm going to go, oh my God, I don't want them to think I have a small penis. I guess I'll give up all my rights. Like, anything to think that I have a big penis. Like, I don't give a fuck if the entire world thinks I have a small penis. It doesn't matter. For the record, I don't. But, like, if everyone thinks I did.
We didn't need to know.
Well, there's some, the whole world's listening. But, like, even if, whatever, like, it's so stupid. I don't know.
Well,
and yeah, no pun intended.
Like, do they really think that someone's going to be that insecure that they'll be like, oh, okay, I better get rid of my rights because someone said I had a small dick? Like, I don't care. You can say whatever you want about me. I know the truth. and I still like rights. So
I always like to ask them
I've
what an
got a
assault
couple of
weapon is.
comebacks. One of them is you can choose to cower in the corner and beg for your life, or you can choose to fight. I choose the former because I'm not going to let somebody else be my judge, jury, and executioner.
yeah,
And
Is it
there was
bad
actually.
that I
the other
kind
one
of troll?
is I tell them, okay, look, suppose you and I and our families are in the mall and something starts going down. I have the ability and the opportunity to save the lives of you and your loved ones. You decide what I do. Simple as that. And they typically they don't even reply.
Well, no, because their argument wasn't thought out to begin with, so they certainly can't, defend it against criticism. Which is why it's like, you know, what are your statistics about the assault weapons ban? You have a small dick. Well, what do you think is a good policy for reducing gun violence? Oh, you're bloodthirsty. You hate kids. Like they always just attack random stuff because they don't have the statistics on their side. They don't have the fundamental speaking. They can't speak well. No, they don't have like the underlying idea of freedom and what this country is even freaking based on. Like they just their logic does not compute. So they have to just call you stupid or, a redneck or like I said, small dick or whatever. Scared. I always hear that. What are you so
Oh
scared
yeah.
of? I lived my whole life and was never scared to walk down the street. It's like I'm not scared either, but I'm prepared. Are you scared of fire, but you have a fire extinguisher in your kitchen? Yeah, because every once in a while, the cat jumps on the counter, knocks a towel onto the stove, and something catches fire. I want to have a fire extinguisher. Am I going to bed crying myself to sleep because my house might catch fire? No. But if it does, I'm ready. Same thing with the gun. I'm not, freaking shaking in my boots when I walk down the street. But if something happened, I'd be okay. I'd be prepared.
I had a cousin that asked me on Facebook one night. He goes, so you're okay with ending a life? And I go, absolutely. And I go, as a matter of fact, I would take a life to save your life, and you don't get to make that decision. Again, he didn't even respond.
Yeah. Well, there are some people that think that way as well. And I don't understand it, but I have heard it from people I know personally. And I said, "Well, what happens if, you know, someone attacks you or whatever?" And the response
They
was,
die.
yeah, the response was, "I guess it's my time to die." And holy crap, I was like, "What what did you just say?" Like that does not make any sense to my brain. That you're just gonna roll over and give up because like, well, I guess they got me. Like I'll just die now. Like I don't care. Like even if I don't have a gun or anything, like if someone's trying to kill me, I guarantee like they'll find my dead body with, skin under the fingernails or whatever. I'm using anything I have within reach, anything within my power to not give in. And like I said, and it might not work, but the dude's at least gonna have some type of scar or something. Like I'll throw pillows at someone, like something. Maybe you can distract them. And other people just don't have that mindset. They're just like, well, I guess bad stuff happens, and I lost the lottery. It's like that's not how it works. So, and that's where the fundamental just difference of I don't want to say opinion, but like a different fundamental worldview.
outlook.
Yeah, like that's just. I don't know how to. No, part of it, I don't know how to argue with that because that's like
Well, I
arguing a
think
math problem with someone and they
some of
think 2
that
plus 2 equals
probably
5. How do you
some of that's
convince them that the derivative of 2x squared plus so and so whatever, like how do you argue that part of it if they think 2 plus 2 equals 5?
yeah. Well, I think they're mixed up in morals or maybe spiritual or whatever. But a buddy of mine down in Florida is a preacher, and we talk on the phone a lot. And he just laid it all out for me. He's like, "There's not a thing wrong with it." And then he explained it all in spiritual terms or biblical terms or however you want to put it. I'm like, makes perfect sense, you know. But
Right.
no,
Yeah. That's like you said. If you're answering the question of like, is it okay to take a life? It's like, yeah, it
Sometimes
in
it
my
is.
opinion, morally speaking, it's okay to take a life if you're, defending another. And that's where, because I don't want to necessarily get all into this stuff because whatever, I'm not interested in talking about that right now. But the idea that like, oh, killing's against the rules or whatever, it's like no, murder's against the rule. There's a difference between justified and just straight up murder. Murder means you do it for no reason or whatever. Like that's not allowed. But if it's self-defense, and that's why, the things are still classified as a homicide. Homicide just means a person died at the hands of another person. And so they call it justified homicide. They don't, change the word. We're like, oh yeah, that's something different. No, it is still homicide, but that homicide does not
It's
equal
just
murder.
justified.
Yeah. Homicide, it technically means like, cause of death is a human or whatever.
I'm actually doing I'm not sure. Smeggie, do you watch Night Strike's After Chat?
Depends what after chat. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh,
I
after
don't really like Night Strike all that much, so I tend not to watch any of his stuff. And I hope he's listening
I
right
assume
now. That'd be funny. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously, I watched
think I was
the Tuesday thing because that's mine. But
I think I was talking to either him or Ghost Tactical. I don't remember which, but I said that I was actually doing my senior project on gun rights from the pro gun perspective, which believe it or not, that takes balls, especially after what happened in Florida last month. Being pro-gun, let alone conservative in school, really does take a lot of balls.
it depends on your teachers and stuff. I mean, I was very pro-gun in school, and I knew my one teacher did not like guns at all, but at least they were fair enough to say like, I'm not going to fail you because I disagree with your point of view. I got points off for spelling a word wrong or something because it was like English class, but it was more like, the whole point of the assignment was the technical part of it. Can you cite sources? Can you do all this stuff correctly? And it wasn't necessarily about the conclusion you came up with. So I don't know. I guess I got lucky from that point of view, but yeah. I mean, if you're in school, back to my get in trouble for that's. I hope you do it. Go for it. It's awesome.
Yeah, my point actually was about the justified homicide thing. I had to go to some data. I actually had to go to databases for my project, and they were talking about Florida's stand your ground laws, and they all of them kept saying homicide rates increased, but what they didn't take into account, and of course this is just the education system post Common Core at work in a nutshell, it didn't actually consider, a lot of these sources didn't actually consider justified homicide.
Although to be fair, though, I mean, I agree. Yeah, you should take that into account, and I hope you look those numbers up and subtracted them off the other ones or whatever. But it's still probably a relatively small percentage. So if you're talking bigger than a bread box, smaller than a barn, those are still decent enough numbers to go off of. But I mean, I have seen stuff that went like, oh yeah, after stand your ground law went through, like the number of justifiable homicides went up, and it's like, well, no kidding, because stuff that used to get people thrown in jail is now being classified as justified, and it should have been before. Also, it's like, it's not that more stuff is happening, it's that you reclassified different things. That's like saying, well, Ford offered a truck in yellow and the number of yellow trucks on the road went up. Well, no kidding, because before they offered that color, there weren't any yellow trucks because it wasn't available. Now a new option is available, and people are going to pick it every once in a while. So yeah, you definitely, well, for one, we all know statistics can be manipulated all over the place. And especially if you're talking about rates going up or going down, my suggestion to you is pay very close attention to the start date and the end date that they choose. Because sometimes it's as simple as, oh, it's 10% increase from 05 to 2012. But if you look at from 03 to 2013, which that'd make more sense. It's a full, like, it's a 10-year, it's an even number. Like, why not just look at the past 10 years? 2017 to 07. When you look at that, you realize that they pick their numbers at the peak of one side and the valley of another, so that it's like, it looks like it's going up.
So that it fits them.
Right, exactly.
And, on the news, they do that a lot too, where they'll actually, when it comes to like unemployment graph, I saw a really good one with the Red Elephants, like Vincent from the Red Elephants. He did a video on black unemployment under the Obama administration, and how there was a CNN broadcast of the actual unemployment chart. But what they did in order to fit their narrative was they actually zoomed it. They zoomed it way out to make it look lower than it actually was. So what he did was he actually zoomed in. Like he looked at that same graph, but then zoomed it in, and then found that it actually was, steadily going up over the years, and then eventually creep back down. So that's another thing that a lot of these news outlets will try to do. But it's not like the school system wants me knowing that. So what do? They just block all the alternate websites that are, more conservative minded.
Well, that's why you just do your research on your own time and don't worry about the school. But
yeah, that's what I did for my project. I had to print out. I had to actually go and print out all my sources from home, just because I knew that not a single one of them, although to my surprise, at least 3 of them, like 3 of the sources that I used actually worked on the school websites. That was pretty surprising. So, God, I can't wait to get out of high school.
Yep. And then wait another 3 years and buy a long gun.
Oh, are you really implying that they're going to increase the age limit to 21? Come on, don't do this. Don't do this now.
I call them as I see them. Florida already did it. You said Massachusetts, so you're already you're already behind enemy lines. And if Florida can fall, where they used to be pretty pro-gun, yeah, it can happen anywhere. So you might as well just put that through your head now, so you're not so disappointed. Or get it as soon as
Oh,
possible.
I already know. I've had that on my mind the past 5 weeks. Especially as, American politics continue to get more and more heated and divisive.
Yeah, I don't normally encourage
identity
panic
politics.
buying, but if you're right at that border and you were thinking about getting something, I would suggest it just because, because I don't think it will be, unless, there are some states, it depends if it's going to be federal level or state level, but there are some where the stuff isn't even grandfathered in. So let's say you were 20 years old, you bought something when you were 18, you have to turn it in.
Well, here's what I think is so perverted about some of these newer laws that are coming out. They don't do them because they actually believe it'll help anything. They do it, bottom line, no other reason, because they think it'll get them reelected. I guarantee you. It's
yeah, but
a lot of these kids,
the reason it will get them reelected is because the general masses think it will do something. And that's part of the problem. Like, people wouldn't support it unless they actually thought. I know, like, the super anti-gunners, yeah, I can attribute malice to them. They want all the guns because they're evil. I can completely believe that. That's believable. But most of the people out there, they just don't know any better. Like, they legitimately think they're helping. They are Ralph from The Simpsons with his finger up his nose going, "I'm helping." They actually do think it. So I think that there's a way to get to them and get them to realize that they're not helping, and so they should stop supporting stuff that doesn't do anything. But again, I'm also very optimistic. It's part of my nature, and as a libertarian, where I figure most people are generally good the majority of the time. So if you let everybody do absolutely everything they want, the good people will outweigh the bad people by a significant number. Therefore, bad stuff won't really happen.
And I just wanted to read a quote from the have you guys seen the quote that Fox posted on Instagram of the one? Oh, this came straight from one of the Parkland shooting survivors. He said, "It's so easy to just bash the Second Amendment and bash guns. It's hard to look at all the facts. It's hard to realize that guns aren't the issue here. It's easy to regurgitate talking points. It's easy to do what your peers say." And that comes from Kyle Kashov. I have no idea how to pronounce that last name. But
oh yeah, I saw him. He was on.
He's right. He's absolutely 110% right. And a lot of the kids in my school, they only went to that walkout protest because it gets them social approval and it makes them feel good.
Well,
not because they actually care.
Just if you don't mind me asking, you can just, whatever. You don't have to answer if you don't want to. But did you walk out or did you just sit in class?
Oh hell no! I sat in class because because when it started, there were some kids behind me that were actually asking, if anyone else was going, and I said, hell no, I got better shit to do than pass this class and pass this project so I can graduate. Oh boy, my class did not take well to that.
What was it like? You sitting alone in the classroom? Like, did everyone leave?
Oh no, it was only like 4 or 5. It was only 4 or 5 people, but no one had the balls to say it. So I figured, well, it's open season. So
4 or 5 people stayed, or 4 or 5 people walked out?
No, only 4 or 5 people walked out in my class.
Oh, okay.
But in total, at least half
of kind of percentage.
In total, though, at least half my school walked out, including teachers and guidance counselors. That's scary.
Yeah,
that's really scary to me.
I really like kind of bring it up as like, oh yeah, you're real brave with your civil disobedience. That's sponsored by the teachers. Like, way to fight the system when they're the ones encouraging it. You know what I mean? And You know, these people, the kids, they go out there, you know, they put themselves on a pedestal like the same people that did sit-ins back in the day, or like Rosa Parks who refused to move. The reason
Yeah,
that
like
was so
that
brave is because they freaking shot them with fire
they
hoses
were
and sent
doing.
dogs on them and stuff. Like the people in
Yeah,
power
like
did not like that.
yeah,
This
and they
thing,
actually
you're not
did something.
protesting. You're doing what the people in power want you to do. So you did more of a protest by sitting there in class than they did by walking out.
I've even seen a few kids in my school posting like, you know, walk up, not walk out or something, which I think is pretty smart actually, you know, like
I don't get it.
I
What does that
even
mean?
said something on Instagram too. Oh, like walk up to people that you know you see getting treated like shit, because we all know how high schoolers are. They're pricks to each other. Um, what did I say? I remember I just went preaching about it. Let me I might have, did I archive it? Oh yeah. I posted something. It was one of those Kermit the Frog memes that said, all these high school kids are moved enough to walk out for gun control, but can't be bothered to stand up for the weird kid in their class getting bullied and fucked with daily. And then, oh, this is the post that I said. I just reposted something, and by the way, I give credit just by tagging them in the post, just because it's easier, and it requires me to say less and, you know, have more room for preaching. But I said, instead of walking out for 17 heavily politicized victims, why don't you instead walk up to 17 people in school you see getting treated like shit and offer them support? By walking out of school, you show that you are looking for just another excuse to get out of class, speak on an issue you know nothing about, or seek attention from the media. Walk up to people, not out. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty good point, and that's part of the thing when you know, people are talking even about like mental health and stuff. It's like if someone intervenes beforehand, you know, that person might not go to the dark side. Like they might not, you know, whatever, do something bad. But I
The
don't know. I
problem
mean,
is,
I don't know what the
like,
culture of bullying is like now. I know back in the day,
it's bad. It's bad.
I don't. Here's the thing, and that's like I said, I don't 100% know, but I get the impression that like it's been the same like it's always been. People just deal with it differently. Like back in the day, okay, yeah, you had a couple bullies here and there, and then every once in a while you punch one of them in the face and they leave you alone. Problem solved. You end up not getting in trouble for it. Like everyone's like, yeah, that guy was being a dick. All right, like maybe you guys shouldn't hang out anymore or whatever, and it was solved. Whereas nowadays, I don't
Nowadays,
know
it's
that
a
the people
corrupt.
they don't take it as well, and I don't know if it's a
It's a
self-esteem
society
issue or
thing.
what, but it's like, you know, whatever. Like it's almost like what I was talking about just a little bit ago, and people are like, "Oh, you only like the guns, you got a small dick or whatever." It's like I'm not crying myself to sleep over that. That is bullying. It's making fun of me. I don't care. And so same thing if someone was like, "Oh, your shirt sucks. You're dumb." I'd say, "Okay, have a nice day." Like I don't care. It doesn't affect me. Whereas maybe nowadays kids are like, "Oh, your shirt's dumb," and it's like, "Oh my god, they don't like my shirt. What should I do?" And they get all upset about it. So I don't know if that's just a culture thing or maybe I'm miscategorizing it, but that's my impression is that, you know, people need to, because they've been told ever since they were in first grade that, you know, everyone's a winner and, you know, everyone's as good as everybody else and don't worry about it and you're special. And then as soon as someone challenges that worldview of like, holy crap, I'm not the like coolest person in the world, then they get all upset. Whereas before, it's like, you just get tough skin. People are not going to like you. That's fine. Some people like you, some people don't. And if you live in a world where you think everyone has to sing Kumbaya and be best friends, as soon as you meet someone who isn't your best friend, you think that they're being like overly aggressive towards you or something.
Yeah. I have kind of seen that mentality a lot, but I noticed really since, middle school, where like pornography starts getting introduced to kids when they start like figuring out about it through like, the sex ed class. We have in high school, we have kind of a world where, everybody's a sex crazed maniac looking to get laid with as many people as possible. Like, that's pretty common in high school. I know people don't like to admit it, but I see it all the time.
That has been happening since the dawn of mankind. What's the
Yeah,
big...
that's exactly, that's nothing new.
I guess I've just been, I don't know.
Now you grow out of it.
I'm like the one person that doesn't follow in. Like I'll just observe it, but I don't take part in any of it.
Yeah, we were pretty wild and crazy, but I will say that I grew up in the 60s, which means for however many years it was, we came home and saw body counts from Vietnam on the TV every single night of the week. And so, by the time we got to be high school age, yeah, we were wild and crazy. Because we were either going to college or we were going to Vietnam and get shot at. We didn't care about nothing.
Yeah, I can tell you this: the culture now is a lot different. I mean, I probably mentioned this. I've mentioned this a few
I don't
times
know how much
on
different it is. Like I think maybe you just need to, like, open your horizon a little bit and just be exposed to more stuff. I know from your point of view, it seems that way, but like Al was saying, that some of the stuff you're mentioning, it's been going on forever. It isn't anything new. It just seems like it's new, or it seems like it's different. So, I mean, and these other people will figure it out too. You get out in the real world, you figure out, what's really going on.
I guess that's the case.
I think one of the biggest problem is this generation of adults, if you want to put it that way, has been
Generation Snowflake.
Has been too concentrated on safe spaces and not concentrated enough on suck it up and grow a pair.
Yeah, even at my I'm a dual enrolled student, meaning I'm both in high school and my local community college. And like I see the safe space stuff a little bit. Hell, I even saw a Me Too board right outside my classroom where everybody could post their sort of almost trademark at this point Me Too stories. Like you know what that is, right? The Me Too campaign.
Well,
or it's just
yeah, but I'm sitting here thinking, well, I could say Me Too, except that I liked it.
Oh hell! What's the
look?
I feel tempted.
It don't just happen to women. You meet a young gal that is into that kind of stuff, and it happens. But
Now it's like
people have been raping, robbing, burning, pillaging since the caveman days. It ain't gonna change. It ain't changed in thousands of years. Maybe it's gotten a little better. Society maybe has gotten a little more civilized. But it is what it is. Here's the way I look at things. how does that affect my day-to-day life? Do I need to worry and fret and gnash my teeth and wring my hands about something bad that might happen tomorrow? What good does that do?
Mm-hmm. I kind of see it, the whole Me Too campaign, I kind of see from the point of the point of view that's I'm at the point where I don't know which story is real and which story isn't. But I guess that's just the way we have to play politics in America now. I mean, I know I kind of sound like I'm bitching here, but I haven't seen. I've only seen the post 9/11 world. I have no memories of the pre 9/11 world where I know back then you guys had Vietnam and the Cold War to deal with, but back then things weren't as serious. So you're really lucky in that sense to be alive around that time. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, anyone want to comment on that?
Well, so here's the way I sort of feel about it. If you say Me Too, but you didn't kick and scratch and claw and beat the hell out of the guy to get him off of you, and you laid there and took it, and more than likely, maybe even liked it, you have no right to say that.
Yeah, it's kind of become a witch hunt nowadays.
You can't not
to
say
find
no and say, well, I said no, if you didn't say no.
Yeah.
Anyway, so.
Let's see, what else? I'm trying to think of something else to discuss here.
Actually, I was just about to say, I'm about to just go ahead and shut this down. So thanks everyone for watching, and thanks guys for jumping in. So,
yeah, no problem. I still have to figure out my computer difficulties, but hopefully I can resolve that soon.
Like I said, it sounds more like it's something with between your computer and the headset, not necessarily Google Hangouts and the headset. So just figured out getting where the headset actually works on the computer. And then when you get into Hangouts, try and figure out which thing to select to make it work on Hangout. But anyways, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. So thanks, everyone. I'll see you guys later.